This time we'll call to order the February 2nd, 2026 meeting of the City of Clearwater Downtown Development Board. We'll move to item 2.1 on the agenda, approval of the minutes. Approve the minutes of the January 12th, 2026 Downtown Development Board meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Move to item 3.1 on the agenda. Approve the Downtown Development Board first quarter budget amendments.
Good afternoon. Jesus Nino, CRA Executive Director for the record. This is an item is to approve the Downtown Development Board's first quarter budget amendments for fiscal year 2025-2026. During the first quarter, DDB's budget was reviewed to reflect updated revenue, projections, and funding needs. Based on that review, staff is requesting approval of a budget amendment to better align with available resources with current programs and priorities. The proposed amendment includes three primary adjustments. First is the amendment to recognize a transfer of $842,915 in unspent funds carried forward from the prior fiscal year. Second, it includes a reclassification of an expense to transfer to the Community Redevelopment Agency for administrative cost. This change is accountant related only and ensures that costs are reflected in the correct budget line. Then third, it reallocates $15,000 that had been set aside for Judge Carshow, which did not move forward. It was a grant agreement. These allocation funds are proposed to be distributed to the following: $50,000 to the micro grant program, $50,000 to the DDB marketing, $15,000 to the outdoor cafe grant program, $150,000 to the Cleveland Street activation, and $592,915 to future downtown initiatives, providing for flexibility and for upcoming projects. With that, staff is open for questions.
Okay. Is there any discussion? Is there anyone here from the public that desires to speak to this agenda item? Hearing none, is there a motion?
Motion to approve, I don't have a, hold on,
3.1.
3.1.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Agenda item 3.2, appoint an applicant to fill a vacancy on the Downtown Development Board through December 31, 2027.
Again, Jesus Nino, CRA Executive Director for the record. This item is for you to appoint an applicant to fill the vacant Downtown Development Board seat through December 31st, 2027. This was the seat that Jennifer Frazier occupied before she resigned because she no longer met the requirements to be on the DDB board. So this vacancy currently exists. So in accordance with City Ordinance number 9744-24, to qualify for appointment and to remain qualified for service on the board, at least two members must meet the following criteria. One, they must reside within the Downtown Development Board district. Two, have their principal place of business or employment within the district. Three, own real property within the district. So a total of 10 applicants did receive, total of 10 applications were received by staff for the vacant seat. Each application was reviewed for completeness and compliance with the ordinance. Based on that review, 5 applications did qualify. These 5 applicants were forwarded to you. So the qualified applicants are Jessica Andahar, employee of Nash Keys; Juan Carlos Garcia, the business owner for Clearwater Beach Fitness; Kevin Tatlisi, business owner of the District Bistro; then Pavlinka Vitanov, employee of the Ring Workspaces; then finally Alana Whitehouse, employee of Frank Crum. So these applicants did meet the qualifications of the ordinance. Was that, in addition, this morning we did receive a letter of recommendation for one of the applicants that was forwarded to you for your record. I think some of the applicants are here in attendance since they were invited. I see a few of them. So with that, I leave it for your discussion and for your action.
But let's do this a little bit. Is there anyone here from the public that would like to speak to this agenda item? I know we have some candidates here, so would any one of them like to say something? You're not compelled to, but giving anyone here today from the public to speak to this agenda item.
I'm not sure I heard the whole question.
Yeah, does anyone here from the public want to speak to this agenda item?
I'll just say on behalf of.
Well, if you do, you have to come to the microphone and hand the clerk a comment card, so, yeah.
I was trying to be efficient, I'm just being courteous. I'm Dan Mahoney, I'm the owner of Downtown Pizza, and I'd just say on behalf of one of the candidates who I know, Kevin, with District Bistro, is they've been a great addition to our block for the past 6 months or so, and adding additional, life there, and we're, I think, coordinating well, and he knows our interests, we know his, us, Clear Sky, Tequila's, them, and I think are bringing vibrancy to the block, and I suspect more of the same would occur with his representation on the board. So, okay. Good enough?
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. If you could complete a comment card for us, that'd be helpful as well. We've got comment cards over here. Yeah, we gather information from anybody who speaks, so thank you for that. Yeah. Okay, next.
Hi guys, I'm Tony Tello, 500 block. You guys all know me decently well. My wife is trying to be part of this. She's been a great part of our community, has helped me greatly and understands it. I think we need to have people on this board that kind of emphasize on unity, community, and growth, and not necessarily slandering one block or the other block, but it has to be someone who represents growth in the community. I think not only my wife, but also the young gentleman who's not here tonight helped me out greatly. There's a new push to make a Netflix series down here in the 500-400 block. That would be great improvement for us things, a lot of publicity. The gentleman who owns the gym, he was the one who recommended Nash Keys, helped us out a lot, and has constantly been there as well. You want people like my wife and like these gentlemen who grow the community and stand for growth, not just self-interest.
Okay.
Thank you.
Does anyone else here from the public want to speak to this agenda? Okay. If not, is there any council discussion? Excuse me. Is there any board discussion? Councilmember Albritton.
Well, I was surprised to have so many people on the list, but probably over half of them weren't qualified because you got to meet certain criteria. But I did get more, I got more emails regarding Kevin Tetlisi from restaurant owners downtown that thought he would be a good addition to the Downtown Development Board.
Okay. Vice Mayor?
Same here. One of the things that I feel we were lacking up until now was the representation from an existing business from downtown. And having Mr. Tetlisi be present would give a very much needed viewpoint and a voice. So I would agree with Councilmember Albritton regarding Mr. Tetlisi.
Okay. Councilmember Cotton?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would echo the same sentiments as Councilmember Albritton and Vice Mayor Teixeira. It is once again good to see all of the 10 applicants, even though half of the field didn't qualify for one reason or another. And then the ones that did qualify, I think they all have unique, special characteristics. I also agree with Kevin Tetlisi. I think that he understands the downtown pretty well, owning 3 businesses down there in different parts of the block. He seems to have good representation and relationships with majority of the business owners and a good feel for where downtown should go and making good recommendations in the future. So I would be for Mr. Tetlisi too.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I've been a client to District Bistro since basically the opening. Before that, I've been a client to Olive and Thyme, and I observed Kevin and Summer running their business firsthand, and I see how they treat clients, I see how they treat neighbors, and I believe that since a lot of things we approve here has to do with Cleveland Street, has to do with downtown, specifically businesses on Cleveland Street, the merchants, I do believe that having a merchant representing Cleveland Street is very important, and because they know exactly what is needed and wanted. They have much more information and data than sometimes we do, and I think that would be very valuable.
Okay. Yep.
I just wanted to say just one thing before we come talk about exactly, vote on it, is I want to thank everybody that put in their application. It really shows, I mean, if anything, it really shows we've got a lot of people that are interested in being part of the community in Clearwater. And I know we, among the ones that did qualify, it was hard to really pick somebody, but I think at least for me, it was good to have somebody from a business that can, downtown that can really help. So thank you all for filling out the application, and maybe next time, go at it again.
Yeah, I'd like to echo that. It was great to see so much interest in it, obviously, and I support Kevin too. He'll be great, and for the reasons mentioned. I also did want to, Juan Garcia moved his business from Clearwater Beach to downtown, brought a lot of folks from the beach to the downtown. He brought a clientele and a visitor, a patron to downtown Clearwater that has been really important for us as we continue to try to grow. And he's an inspiring story. He's an immigrant and has built this business on his own and works really hard, and certainly want to encourage him to continue to show interest in being involved. He has a lot to bring to us, even if he's not on this board, that he can contribute. So I want to give that acknowledgement to Juan, because he has a heart for service and has done a lot for downtown already. He's a business owner, which was important to us here, and just because Kevin is getting appointed today, we don't want to discourage Juan from continuing to show interest in leadership, because he would be very good on this board or any other board that we have. So with that, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve Kevin Tedlisi to the Downtown Development Board.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Okay. Move to item 3.3.
Congratulations.
Next item, I'm going to have Parks and Recreation also join our staff members to give the presentation on the special events report.
So good afternoon, Vicki Shire. Just waiting for the presentation to come up. Yeah. Today we'll be presenting a consolidated report on DDB funded special events from April through December 2025. This report combines information from event applicants and Placer AI data provided by staff, giving a clear view of how DDB investments are supporting downtown activation, increasing foot traffic, and engaging the community. CRA and Parks and Rec staff work together to streamline their individual reports into a single cohesive overview, highlighting the impacts of the events sponsored by DDB. Following this overview, Chris Cook from Parks and Recs will share additional insights on the Placer AI data and how it will benefit the city. Our first event is the Ukulele Festival. It was held on April 12th. The organizer was the Tampa Bay Ukulele Society. It was located on the 400-500 block. The self-reported attendance was 3,000. Placer AI data was 1,100, and they were approved for $20,375 in DDB funding. Next is Cinco de Mayo Taco Festival. The event was produced on May 5th by Unimex. It was located in Coachman Park. The self-reported attendance was 2,000. Placer AI data was 5,500, and the DDB approved funding was $6,200, but the applicant came under budget and was reimbursed $4,629. Cinco de Mayo Cleveland Street Market. It was produced by NM Residential LLC on May 5th. The location was between the front of Nolan and the 1011 of Cleveland Street area. They self-reported 600 to 800 in attendance, and unfortunately, the Placer AI did not have enough information or source for us to complete that part. They were approved for $24,000 in funding, and they came under budget too and was reimbursed $18,703. Taste of Clearwater, which was organized by Clearwater, the Rotary Club of Clearwater. The event was on May 31st. The location was Coachman Park. The self-reported attendance was 2,500, and Placer AI data was 1,300. The DD funding amount was awarded for $30,000 for this event. Salsa at the District, which was organized by Florida Best Promotions on November 1st at Station Square Park and the 600 and 500 block. The self-reported attendance was 2,000, and Placer AI data was 2,300. The DDB approved funding for $15,000, but the applicant came in under budget and was reimbursed $12,503. So Clearwater Jazz Holiday did 2 events. The first event is the 46th Clearwater Jazz Holiday, which was October 16th to the 19th, located at Coachman Park. The self-reported attendance for October 16th was 4,200. October 17th was 3,600. October 18th was 4,800. And October 19th was 3,800. And then you can see the Placer AI attendance for the 16th was 2,200. The 17th, 2,300. The 18th, 3,800. And the 19th, 2,200. The other event that Clearwater Jazz Holiday Foundation produced was the CJH Presents Holiday Music Experience. That was on December 6th at Station Square Park. And their self-reported attendance was 200. And unfortunately, AI Placer did not have enough significant data to record it. They were awarded $131,000 for both events, combined that total. Next is Fall Y'all, which was organized by Saucy Queen. The dates were October 5th through the 6th. The location was Coachman Park. Her self-reported attendance for October 4th was 5,000. For October 5th was 3,000. The Placer AI data was for October 4th was 4.9 thousand, and for October 5th was 2.9 thousand. They were, I apologize, for the Fall Y'all, they were awarded $30,000, but did come under budget too, and were reimbursed $21,705 for Fall Y'all. Her next event was the Jingle Bell Family Fun Fest, which happened on December 20th. Saucy Queen organized again. The location was Coachman Park. Her self-reported attendance was between 4,000 to 5,000, and Placer AI data was 3.9 thousand. DDB approved funding for $12,900 for this event. Thank you, and now I'm going to turn it over to Chris Cook. You're welcome.
Distinguished board members, Chris Cook, Parks and Recreation Senior Manager. I think a couple of things in kicking this off. When we added this, Placer AI data, I think it's important that we address what it's not. It's not a gotcha. It's not trying to embarrass anybody, but what it is trying to do is to be able to provide you all with accurate third-party information before you make decisions. So helpful now in being able to see how people produced what they produced, but even more helpful in the future when we put together the reports for you guys to be able to make those funding decisions. So a couple of things that these numbers do represent, I'm certainly not going to speak as an expert on IT or with Placer AI, but I have probably had the most experience from city staff working in the system, working through and providing some of these data. So they have multiple different drop-down categories that you can use to filter the data. So you can look at who's going into retail shops, you can look at who's going into restaurants, or you can look at the metric we used for these was the festival data, which basically breaks up the cell signal density, the duration of visits, the movement patterns of the people while they're on site, as well as pretty extensive demographic modeling. It's important to note that it's aggregated data. It's also, the word is, I can never pronounce it right, anonymized, but anonymous data, basically, that we don't know who the people are. We just have the raw figures. So it's not counting each cell ping. It's taking data that it receives through the system and then running it through a series of analytics to spit out a final number. So the numbers you see, since we have Jingle Bell on here, it's not saying that there was 3,900 pings of cell phones. It's using all the analytics to create that figure that we're able to share. Also, why it's more than just attendance and where we think this will be helpful in the future. As staff gets time and training, this technology will allow us to look at historical trends, so we can get a baseline of data to say on a typical Saturday on December 20th in the park, there might be 1,000 people, so 3,900 people would be 2,900 more than normal. So we can even give you more data specific to the event based on historical trends and baseline activities. And it even, I think this will prove helpful for the DDB, is we can pull the entire district information. So even if an event is on the 400 block or if it's in Coachman Park, it can actually pull data for where people parked, where they went before the event, where they went after the event, and really give us a good identification of the visitor experience that they had when coming. So we'll be able to evaluate funding requests. We can compare these requests objectively. We'll be able to pull these reports again before the decision-making comes. So when Vicki and their team comes with funding requests, we can go back in time. We can go back several years and pull data. We can even find events that may have taken place in other cities at other times and pull data from those. So we'll be able to really get the kind of information that you all want from us to be in those reports when you're making these important financial decisions. A couple of other things that this will do, and I'm going to talk more to our city council later about this, but there's a big value for sponsorships included in this, where we can see, true hard raw data that we can provide to sponsors. And again, that tool of where did they come from, what hotel did they stay in, where did they go after. The demographic information will be very, very valuable when it comes to additional revenue sourcing through sponsorships. Even broader applications from that, we can see what times of the day people are coming in to downtown. We can just pull regular reports wherever the Downtown Development Board would see there's information to be found. So I do want to acknowledge and give gratitude to the city manager and her leadership on getting us this tool. It's a very, very important thing for many things in Parks and Recreation to track our recreation centers and our programs and how many people are attending is huge for us to be able to offer the services and programs that our citizens want. So thank you for her leadership and for our IT for getting trainings and implementing this into our workflow. With that, on this, I'll be happy to answer any questions or any other reports. I'm sure Vicki would as well.
Thank you.
Any questions? Comments? Councilmember Cotton?
Yes, sir, thank you. Thank you guys for the presentation. Fantastic. Data and analytics, I love it. I think everybody in this room knows that about me now. And thank you for going over what Placer AI was vaguely, right? I've heard it, but I don't know exactly what it's drawing, where it's getting its metrics, and what algorithms it's throwing things through. So great way of giving the layman's terms so, technologically less advanced people can fully understand it. And I think that it's going to be awesome, especially for this board with the future of where we can go and the decisions we can make. Something I would be very curious about, and I think that this board can agree with this statement, is we always put an emphasis on not just drawing the traffic down through our events, but making sure that our businesses in the downtown are taken care of too. So when you hit on being able to pull data to people visiting those brick and mortar restaurants, I would be very interested in seeing that data as you all get trained and are able to fully start implementing whatever this AI is able to provide for us, because I think it will be well worth it in the future. And I'm grateful for the city manager for looking at technologically advanced ways to promote the city and make it more efficient. So thank you all. Appreciate it.
Okay, any other questions?
I just want to say thank you. This is absolutely great. I love the fact that we were able to go through that data really quickly, and you guys give me exactly the information I need, and I'm sure true for the rest of the board. Makes much easier to make decisions on in the future. It's just fantastic. Thank you so much.
Vice Mayor?
I wanted to echo that. This will provide us another tool to help us make better decisions. I find it interesting how sometimes there's such a big discrepancy between the AI and the self-reported, and others are so right on point. And I do realize that they're not specific pings, but I think it's a reliable number that we can base decisions on, and I appreciate having that.
Councilmember Menino.
Yeah, thank you. Great report. Thank you for that. Thank you, leadership team, for making that possible. When we decide some of these events and almost Shark Tank it on how much money we're going to throw at it, we scrutinize two figures so often, and it's a budget that's easy to fold things into and their own estimated attendance. It was interesting to see a couple of those were almost dead on their estimated attendance, and then some were almost double off, which is interesting. I would find it interesting if there is a way at some point to identify if they're coming to the park and give us a figure, but 85% of them stayed in the park and left, or 10% of them actually went to our downtown restaurants, how we can find a data number to correlate who's coming and staying, because it's probably going to be, well, that event that had food and drink didn't go visit our brick and mortars, but those that, enticed them to go, or certain programs, and find what's working and what's not. But very much appreciated. Thank you to the team. Thank you.
And for that point, there are multiple reports you can run on the same data set, so you can look at those people who attended the event and then cross-reference that over to who dined in downtown local. So we can,
Very cool.
once we know exactly what's important to you, we can provide that data. And also, I should reference that this was taken specifically from visitors. It can also filter those who live there and those who work there. So this data set you saw was specifically from visitors, so it didn't count in maybe the people that lived there and walked down. So I should have referenced that.
Interesting. Okay.
Vice Mayor?
Yeah, you kind of reminded me of something. That whole idea of how much is it per person, meaning attendance is important. I think it's only one of the things to factor in. Other things are, of those people who attended, are they new? What demographics do they represent? Did they come before or after the event? Will they come back? So I'm not quite sure if you can capture that data, but I've always been one of those who believe that just attendance alone is not enough to deem an event successful or not, but it is something important to consider. So I would be interested in knowing how much we can filter those numbers.
Okay. Yep, same things everybody else has said. This is exactly what I asked for. You all crushed it. This is incredibly helpful to just evaluate every future request, and you really did answer every question that I had. So thank you for putting this together, and thank you for, the Placer AI I'm familiar with and know all the possibilities of that, and I appreciate, and you can get lost in all the data, which you pointed out, which is, can be a temptation. So I also appreciate how you're wisely spending our time and, just diving into the data that's the most helpful to us. So appreciate that as well. So with that, thank you for your report. And then that's all for 3.3. So we'll move to agenda item 3.4, approve the October through December 2025 financial statement for filing.
And Jesus Nino for the record. This item is for you to approve the October through December 2025 financial statements for filing. Total expenditures and transfers out through December 2025 were $575,971. So as of October 2025, the remaining available balance was $653,810. That concludes my presentation, so.
Okay. Is there anyone here from the public today that desire to speak to this agenda item? Okay, hearing and seeing none, is there any board discussion? If not, is there a motion?
Move to approve agenda item 3.4.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Agenda item 4.1, Downtown Development Board of Directors report.
So this is a director's report, but before I get into it, Mr. Battle did ask me to say a few words about Placer AI, but I'm not going to do that anymore just because that was a very well put together presentation by Mr. Chris Cook. But I did want to say just very briefly on it that, I do thank city management for approving that particular product for us to use. It is going to be extremely valuable in the future. It is funded by Parks and Recreation, the CRA, and a small portion of it from economic development. So that tool going forward for economic development and their staff is going to be extremely valuable as well, just to kind of review and monitor market data and all the trends. And the product is extraordinary, so I look forward to it as well. Before I get into my particular presentation, I did want to have Ms. Amber Bryce come up here and give a presentation on the world's largest rubber duck. And again, she's superstar. She's up here. Here you go.
Good afternoon. Amber Bryce, Arts and Cultural Affairs Manager. I have with me Joel Smith, the Special Events Programming Supervisor. You can call us the Crazy Duck Ladies. We are here to give a presentation on the success of the world's largest rubber duck. How it came to be, a lot of you know, we were just looking for a rotating art exhibit, something that was going to bring people downtown. And here were all of our Duck Day events that we had. So first I'm going to go into, we had 108 photo time slots that we put up that Jeep owners or whoever could purchase to take an exclusive Jeep photo shoot. We had 108, we completely sold out. It was a very successful day. We had a lot of foot traffic. We had a photographer come out. We didn't pay for him, but the Jeep owners could purchase a photo if they wanted to. I want to thank the special event staff. We had a lot more foot traffic that day than I think we anticipated, so they had to get the Jeeps in and out safely around people. So they did a great job. Then we had Market Marie, which I don't have a slide for, but that was a huge day, which I'll show you some of the stats for that. We have over 8,000 people came to the park that day. The Ferris wheel had a record-breaking day. They sold 800 tickets that day. It was amazing. Our next event that we put on as a city was our Duck Dash 5K. Just want to say on our opening day of Mama Duck, we had 228 registrations, which we thought was amazing. We're like, yes, that's great. The media coverage we got, we literally doubled that overnight. We had 441 registrations for our Duck Dash. We capped it at 500, so we almost met our cap. The medals, the t-shirts, everything turned out really cute. It was foggy, which lent itself to some cool photos. And then we had our biggest event for sure was our Rubber Ducky Birthday Bash. It was a tremendous success. We had a little under 5,000 people turn out for this event. We had the Boy Scouts did duck races. That couple on the bottom right there came all the way from Cocoa Beach. It was really cool to see everybody dress up in all of their duck gear. So many people came out with their duck stuff. And we were just looking at each other the whole time like, I can't believe how many people are here. It was so positive. It was so great. It was just a wonderful day. Then we had our Scenes on the Green. Not as well attended. It was a little chilly that night, but it was still a free, fun community event. And then to top it off, we ended with our Duck and Drive Jeep Invasion. Still less attendance than the birthday bash, but we still had a couple thousand people that showed up. So we had Jeeps parked down Cleveland Street. We had a Phil Collins tribute band, axe throwing, paint bus. VSPC had a claw machine they brought out so people could win a rubber duck. I like the photo on the right, just showing perspective, people doing cute things with the duck. And then we had a Touch a Jeep area, which was very successful. So numbers, there has been a lot of talk about budget, a lot of wrong information about budget out there. So I just want to stress this is not including PD cost, which we don't have those invoices yet, and some other costs like the Facebook ads we get invoiced later. But our cost thus far is $45,360. This does include the duck rental, barricades, security, all the performers, all of the bands, everything that went into putting this 2 weeks of events on. But if you look at our revenue that we generated, just from the 5K and the Jeep pictures, and this does not include the vendor spots that we sold, which I think is about an extra $1,000 we probably put on top of this, $18,853. And then in sponsorships, of course, DDB was gracious enough to give us $21,005, but I was able to secure $23,500 in additional sponsorship and outside sponsorship. So thank you to Spa Manufacturers, Visit St. Pete Clearwater, CGS Energy, Hampton Inn and Suites, and Clearwater Marine Aquarium. Additional revenue, and also an interesting economic insight, is our parking revenue. Our parking revenue doubled from last year. the same time last year, and that's with 0 concerts at the Bay Care Sound. Of course, predominantly our downtown parking is free after 6, it's free on the weekends, so this is daytime before 6 PM, $23,931 we made in parking. Then I want to talk a little bit about the downtown businesses. We had a couple ideas just kind of come up. This was one that I was like, what if we just paint ducks on windows? And all of the business owners were in full support. It was really awesome. They all got a cute, something that was themed to their restaurant. And we also put their specials on our page. So like Nash Keys hit a little duck, and if you found it, you got a prize. District Bistro gave away ducks on the Jeep. And if everybody brought in a picture with themselves with Mama Duck, most everybody was giving away some sort of discount. So that was a really cool way to make everything seem cohesive and bring everybody up Cleveland Street. Here's some feedback from the owners, all positive. Pretty much all of the businesses were busy the majority of the time. Place Your AI I don't have to go into because Chris just went into, but here's some of the data. Important to note, we do not have the data for the 9th, which was opening day, and we don't have the data for the 24th, which was the Jeep event. So just in this time frame, you can see on the 10th over 8,000 people, and you can see at the birthday bash we had a little under 5,000 people attend. But in total, 21,500 unique visits to Coachman Park. So once you factor in those other 2 days, that number is going to go up. And this is just people with cell phones, so I don't even know if that counts the kids that were there. So another really cool stat is our website analytics. We had visitors from 46 different countries onto our city webpage. We had 35,475 page views, some of the highest traffic our website has ever recorded. Thank you to Public Communications. They put the live stream on the page, and so we called it Duck Cam. That live stream got 7,391 views. We had a Timmy contest, a Timmy selfie contest, 414 submissions. All of the sponsors were super happy, including CGS Energy, because they made it into the Wall Street Journal. So this was an article from the Wall Street Journal, so Clearwater. And there's pretty much not one local media outlet, I don't think, that we didn't have there. From radio to Telemundo, Fox 13, everybody was there. This number is basically what it would have cost us as a city with all of the media coverage that we got. If we had to pay for it out of pocket, that's essentially the value, the PR value. And then social media, again, off the charts. Public Communication basically said we've never seen this kind of engagement before. If it had a duck in it, it was pretty much guaranteed to get at least 300 likes. This is our first post. It had 3,100 likes, 700 shares, 2.7 million views on our city Facebook page. So I just want to give a big thank you to Public Communications. They were super helpful in making banners and social media posts. Brooke Harris with IT, that poor girl had to change that webpage every single day, so thank you to her. And then Jason McCoy, Lloyd Gardner, Zeron Rance with Public Utilities. They moved the generator for us, made sure it was full all the time. They were just really awesome. And then, of course, Jewel Smith, my partner in crime, couldn't have done it without her. She was at every event at like 6 in the morning, sometimes earlier, making sure special events people were where they needed to be, so she's awesome. And thank you to the trustees. I know this was a little bit of a shot in the dark. We didn't really know what to expect, but it far exceeded, I think, anybody's expectations. I personally spoke to numerous people that came from the East Coast. I met a couple that came from Tennessee and made it a birthday trip. I met a guy from Denver that came specifically for the Ducks. So it did exactly what it was intended to do. It brought people into our area. And I'm interested to see the Place Your AI data for how many people patronize businesses on Cleveland and things like that. So we'll get that to you as soon as we can. So if you have any questions.
Councilmember Albrecht?
Wow. When you first brought this up, I thought it was, what are you doing here, I had no idea. This is, and then when I saw it, and I saw the people, and I saw the people that were disappointed that came down the windy days because you had to let it go down, I'm like, this is bigger than I ever thought it was. And you guys did a great job. Thank you so much,
Vice Mayor?
Yes, so this is the most perfect example, and the way you convey the information is part of the reason how a simple idea can happen, and you've proved the snowball effect or the economic impact. And that data with the parking was such a clear black and white, how something here can have a big effect down the road. So if that's just the parking, can you imagine everything else that wasn't measured, right? So this is brilliant, and you and I have been talking for a while. I don't know how we can top this. I'm brainstorming, this was incredible.
Daddy Duck.
Daddy Duck? I don't know.
Daddy Duck.
Grandpa Duck? My sister actually sent me a text. She lives in Montreal, and she said, so you got a flamingo in the airport, got a duck in Coachman Park. Where are you going to put the inflatable pig? But honestly, this made it worldwide. I have family from Portugal that actually saw this. So wonderful job. Talk about, smashing it. What did you call it? Smashing it? Or what did you call it? Nailing it or something? Incredible. Thank you.
Councilmember Menino. Yes.
Thank you, Mayor. Congrats to the whole team. Absolutely amazing. There's only a couple topics in the city of Clearwater that we all get daily calls on, and this was one of them. And hey, nice to talk to you. Is the duck inflated today? I can't tell you how many calls I got. I'm so sorry to the city manager how many times I was away from my phone and I had to text her, is the duck deflate gate today or not? And she right away, down for a little bit, should be up. But how many days did we lose due to weather? Do we know?
It's hard to say because even like the 5K, she was up in the morning for the 5K runners, but had to come down. So there was just multiple days. I would say probably maybe 4. Of course, the weather could have been nicer to us, but last week it was up for every major event. I think that's important. And then last week it was up for 24/7 for 4 or 5 days straight, 24 hours a day.
Absolutely amazing. Thank you to the team. Have we booked our next date with the duck?
So that was something I didn't know if you guys wanted to talk about.
Yes.
Yeah, please. Yeah.
So I will tell you, we have the right of first
Unanimous.
refusal
Motion
for
to
the
approve.
duck. I can tell you the city of Largo and the city of Sarasota have already reached out to the duck owner. They want the duck. So if we don't want to give it up, we can tell them, we want the, and it doesn't have to be annually, it could be biannually, so we could do it maybe in 28 when all the construction is gone. I don't want it to lose
good
its
idea.
specialness if we do
Yeah.
it too much, but there are cities that do it every year and it brings people out every year, so maybe I'm wrong.
I don't know. I'd be supportive for annually. We
Yeah.
celebrate
Yeah.
a birthday annually.
Or
why not
semi-annual.
a Birthday annually, but
Yep, annually.
So I agree with that too, because if we were to go to biannually, would that mean that Sarasota or Largo could get the off
Exactly.
year?
He wouldn't, no. He said no. Even if it
Really?
was biannually, he wouldn't, within a 300-mile radius, they wouldn't book anybody.
Interesting. I still agree that, it's a birthday, so.
Yep.
celebrate.
We sold out 108 photo slots, you know what I'm saying? I'm sure people were
And we
bummed they
actually
couldn't
had
get there.
more booked for the Sunday, and those all sold out, but we had to cancel because of wind, so. yeah.
Oh, those
Yeah.
people were, see, those people want the bag.
Yeah.
You can already see your social media countdown clock till she returns.
gosh.
That's going to get your 300 hits again.
Sorry,
But
Joel.
Congratulations and thanks to the team.
Councilmember Cotton?
Thank you, sir. You guys nailed it. I know it's already been said, you've gotten all the kudos, and, the numbers are right here in the pudding. It's incredible, how you guys stood up here, pitched the idea, and Amber, I think you even said it, love it or hate it, it's gonna get people to talk about Clearwater, and it did, right? I got the phone calls too about the duck being down, so the duck cam was a fantastic
Yeah,
idea.
great idea.
So whoever came up with that was
Joel.
clearly sick and tired of dealing with us calling to get that information. So great idea there. 2.7 million views on the first social media post. Again, big data guy, this is fantastic. And to show that you guys produced a revenue from it as well, just bringing all of the hype. I went to St. Augustine for my son's field trip, and just walking down, the shops with him, one of the owners was asked, "Where are you guys from?" "Oh, we're from Clearwater." He goes, "I just took my mom to see that giant duck." And I was like, that's incredible, what are the chances? So, fantastic. I'm all for definitely getting this thing back on the schedule every year. Great job.
I think we just want to be strategic about it, so we're not maybe mixing it up some, but we'll let you figure that out with them. But I think there's the consensus, we're interested in having it back, maybe in a different way, maybe some different events. I'm sure we learned a few things,
Definitely.
this year that would help us next year, but I think consensus is to go ahead and start talking about that and bring something back to us. We look at it. A couple things that just I guess duck backing on what people said, not piggybacking. One is, we did get some scrutiny over how much money we spent, but I said, I'm glad you shared the number of how much it would have cost us to buy that media exposure that we got, because it paid for itself immediately almost. It was a tremendous amount of media exposure. Not to count all the social media hits, and people were I've said after the hurricanes, which was true, I thought that, we can take all the photos we want of downtown Clearwater and Coachman Park and, photo brush it, make it all look sunny and pretty every day. But for a visitor, what they really put a lot of emphasis on is that friend, that person who went there and had their own picture taken there. And not photo brush, they know this is a genuine experience that they had there was positive. And you get all those folks coming down, having their picture taken, posting it. That's the best marketing we could possibly have. And I think the number one thing I saw in the whole thing was that, we've fought for a long time, there's nothing to do in downtown Clearwater. It's nothing else going on there. Don't go there. Don't, go to Tampa, St. Pete, and other Sarasota, don't go, waste your time, go out to the beach, don't go to downtown Clearwater. It introduced folks to a fun activity from all over Tampa Bay and downtown Clearwater that were beginning to change the mindset. The Baycare Sound had already done that, some, on a piece-by-piece, event-by-event basis. But it's incredible what you created here with this, because all those thousands of people, now they have a different perception of what's happening in downtown Clearwater. So thank you for that. And the last thing is, I agree with Councilmember Albritton. We're on that train, and you're like explaining to me what you were proposing. Amber, I was like, okay, I guess I see where that could attract some people. At first, to at least two of us, maybe all five of us, but at least two of us, it sounded like a really crazy idea. But I want to thank you so much for bringing it forward. It's been incredible, Amber, what you've done. This was you. You're the one who came up with it and got the idea and proposed it to us. And I hope it's encouraging all of our team to, there'll be a lot of crazy ideas that maybe, okay, not now, let's wait on that one. But it was out there, and it worked in a big way. And I hope it encourages everybody on our team to suggest some things that might at first seem crazy, because this is the kind of thing we need. We need to stand out, and this certainly did it. So thank you. Thank you for the entire team for supporting this great event, and congratulations. You did an amazing thing, not just for Clearwater, but for the citizens of Clearwater, in bringing this event to us. So thank you, Amber. Okay. Jesus, you have more for us?
Might as well pack it up and go home. Jeez, that was extraordinary.
21.5. Unique visits did not include the 2 business days.
Again, Jesus, for the record, this is a director's report for February 2026. I'll give you a status on basically what we've been doing in the downtown for the past few weeks. So as far as the marketing and public relations firms at RBOA, I am happy to announce that they did sign the agreement that was reviewed by our legal department and other staff member. It should be ready for signature with the mayor here as the board chair. So we have also started scheduling meetings, one-on-ones with RBOA and council members so they can get interviewed and get their perspectives over to the firm. In addition, we're also going to schedule them to go before city staff in one of our strategy sessions to get our feedback as well. So we're looking forward to having them get to work quickly and start to meet milestones within 30 days, 60 days, and 90 days. Upcoming events, we're continuing to sponsor a multiple series of events for the Downtown Cleveland Street Activation Initiative and just for the downtown in general. The Fresh Start Market, which will take place from February the 6th to the 7th from 6 to 9 p.m. That's going to be located at the 400 block of Cleveland Street, and that's presented by St. Pete College Workforce Community and Corporate Partnerships and Saturday Shops. That's a DDB budget of $50,000. In addition, we're starting to have conversations with St. Pete College. This is just more for FYI, to kind of understand why their original concept was the Mobile Vendors Initiative kind of didn't materialize like they first presented it. You know, we do have some preliminary information on why that happened, but once those meetings are kind of finished up with, then we'll kind of give you a better answer on that. But they are committed to trying to do some activation in our downtown as far as events. Then Tasty Tampa Bay at Coachman Park. This event will take place February 21st from 11 to 6 p.m. This is presented by Saucy Queen, DDB funding sponsorship of $12,900. She's been a staple in our downtown. We really enjoy working with her because she gives us everything we need, and she always produces, and that's what she needs to do for the downtown. Then the Downtown Clearwater Ukulele Festival, presented by the Tampa Bay Ukulele Society and Achieva Credit Union. They requested $15,000. That event will take place on March the 15th from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m., located on Coachman Park and the 400 block of Cleveland Street. I'm going the right way. Then I'm not going to go into the rubber duck because I wouldn't even try to do that. She's did a spectacular job on that regards. We were originally going to have her come to do it in her presentation in March, but she just moved so quickly. She had all the information ready, so we fit her into your schedule, your agenda. I just want to kind of show you a little bit of how much work the staff does for the DDB, especially for some of the lower cost grants. This was just for DDB supported activation of the smaller grants for January. The list just goes on and on. I know some of the ones from later in the month got canceled because of the cold weather, but this is basically every month now. They're constantly just taking in applications, constantly reviewing them, working with other departments to make sure that these micro events happen. Then as far as past events, I'm not going to go too much into these since Chris and Vicki did a great job. You know, we have the Fresh Start Market. That event was from January 16th, 23, and 30th. That was hosted by St. Pete College. DDB funding was $50,000, then some city fees. Then the Hello Cleveland Street, a Saturday night live music series to enhance nightlife and dining experiences on the 400 block of Cleveland Street. That was January 10th, 17th, 24, and 31st, hosted by Downtown Pizza, Sports Bar and Grill. Dan Mahoney, he did a spectacular job on that particular event. It was a DDB micro grant of $5,000. Then Saucy Queen, you know, her dates for her event were the Jingle Bell Family Fun Fest and Tasty Tampa Bay. Took place December 20th and February 21st coming up. DDB funding was $12,000 for the Jingle Bell and $13,000 for Tasty Tampa Bay. Then Salsa and Bachata in the district, that was canceled, correct? I think that was canceled because of the cold weather. Then as far as the grants in the downtown for the DDB, we do have the DDB special event grant funding. You know, we had a total of 12 approved. So that would be for a total of $340,075. Total amount that was paid out was $245,479. The reason is because many of those events came in under budget and 2 were actually canceled. As far as the DDB micro grant, we have coming up 3 approved grants for a total of $8,012. We've paid out $8,012 for those. Then the Outdoor Cafe grant, 4 individuals have applied for that particular grant. 3 were awarded, and 1 is in progress for a total of $23,551.99. And that concludes the presentation, but we are looking forward to putting RBOA to work and start to help us rebrand the downtown with your help, of course, and just continuing to work to activate the downtown. Was that a moment for questions?
Okay. Any questions for the director? Hearing none, you have one?
Yeah, I don't necessarily have a question. Just wanted to thank you and staff for all the work you're putting in. I know our merchants are appreciative as well. We're finding our secret sauce downtown is our special events, and then keeping them in our district to eat and bring their families, and hopefully weather gets a little warmer and we can continue to do that. I'm very excited. You know, I've been screaming for months and months and months about finding a way to get some sort of branding of our downtown so that we start sharing a message of consistency throughout. I think that's how we're going to change that perception of who we are downtown. I think it's important that we keep the merchants involved in that messaging so that that consistent storytelling, we can kind of pull all those threads together. But I think we all feel the hope and the optimism for where our downtown's going, and whether it's called a urban renaissance or whatever we decide to call it. Exciting times for downtown. I just hope everyone keeps sharing those hopes and aspirations that we have, because we can feel it as well. So thanks to you and your team's hard work.
Anything else? Thank you. Okay, with that, we'll move to, excuse me, item 5 on the agenda, and that is to adjourn the February 2nd, 2026 meeting of the City of Clearwater Downtown Development Board. Okay, we'll recess for a minute while we change some nameplates and potentially take a picture.
Do you have Frank's phone number?
You have time to use the
Frank's
restroom?
phone number?
Yeah.
Okay. He's the best. He's like,
This time, we'll call to order the February 2nd, 2026 meeting of the City of Clearwater Pension Trustees. Move to item 2.1 on the agenda.
Approve the minutes of the December 1, 2025 Pension Trustees meeting.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Move to agenda item 3. Are there any citizens here today that desire to be heard on items that are not on today's pension trustees agenda? Seeing none, we'll move to item 4.1.
Approve the new hires for acceptance into the pension plan as listed.
Good afternoon, Tiffany Macris, Human Resources Director. I'm here for any questions you might have over this item or the next two.
Okay. Is anyone here today from the public desire to be heard in this agenda item? Hearing seen none, is there any trustees discussion? If not, is there a motion?
Move to approve agenda item 4.1.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Agenda item 4.2.
Approve the following requests of employees: Reynold Choo-Choo, Parks and Recreation Department; Brian Dorr, General Services Department; Keith McReynolds, Parks and Recreation Department; and Sean Witherspoon, Police Department, to vest their pension as provided by Section 2.419 of the Employees Pension Plan.
Someone here from the public desires to be heard on this agenda item? Hearing seen none, is there any trustees discussion? If not, is there a motion?
Move to approve agenda item 4.2.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Agenda item 4.3.
Approve the following requests of Nathan Blues, Fire Department; Thelma Cadio, Parks and Recreation Department; David Zarek, Police Department; Daryl Ford, Public Works Department; Sean Lawrence, Fire Department; John Leggett, Parks and Recreation Department; Frank McCormick, Solid Waste and Recycling Department; Jennifer Polly, Fire Department; Mark Pyler, Gas Department; John Savage, Fire Department; Brian Schoenburn, Fire Department; and Chris Van Odorp, Fire Department, for a regular pension as provided by Sections 2.416 and 2.424 of the Employees Pension Plan.
Is anyone here from the public today that desires to be heard on this agenda item? Hearing seeing none, is there any trustees discussion? If not, is there a motion?
Motion to approve agenda item 4.3.
second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you. Agenda item 5, Director's Report.
A little quick to run away. No, none at this time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. With that, we'll move to item 6, and that is to adjourn the February 2nd, 2026 meeting of the City of Clearwater Pension Trustees. This time, we'll call to order the February 2nd work session of the Clearwater City Council. And we will move to item 2.1 on the agenda.
Approve the Fifth Amendment to contract for sale for city-owned vacant land between City of Clearwater and Habitat for Humanity of Pinellas County and the Clearwater Neighborhood Housing Services for real property located at 1454 South Martin Luther King Jr.
Good afternoon, Council Mayor. My name is Dylan Mayu. I'm the Housing Manager, Economic Development and Housing. This agenda item is a request to approve the Fifth Amendment to the contract for sale of city-owned property located at 1454 South Martin Luther King Jr. Avenue. This is to be developed between Habitat for Humanity and the Clearwater Neighborhood Housing Services. The project was awarded through RFP 43-22 and is consistent with Council's original direction to increase affordable housing home ownership opportunities in Clearwater. The proposed development includes 24 townhomes. Half will be restricted to 80% of area median income, and the other half will be restricted to 120% of area median income. Council has approved several prior amendments to this agreement. Each of those amendments were limited to extending the closing date to address pre-development issues, such as site plan approvals, easements, utility coordination, and hurricane impacts from the storms in 2024. The Fifth Amendment addresses timelines as well as a few other issues. The current contract requires the developer to obtain all building permits prior to closing. However, under the city's development code, the final 50% of building permits cannot be issued until the final plat is recorded, and the final plat cannot be recorded until site work and infrastructure work has been completed. As a result, the existing contract requirement creates a procedural conflict preventing the transaction from closing. Staff obtained an update on the permit status. A few outstanding comments remain. Fees are still due. However, full approval is nearing. The proposed amendment removes the permit contingency, extends the closing date to June 30th, 2026, extends the project completion date to December 31st, 2028, and allows the assignment of the contract to the developer single asset LLC. It also specifies language that allows the city to revert ownership of the property if the contractual timelines are not met, providing the city with additional protections by specifying default terms. I also want to note that on January 26th, staff did meet with the developer and with Pinellas County. The county indicated that their funding has been approved and that they will be ready to close within our new proposed timeline. The remaining and final step is for the developer to obtain project financing. After speaking with the developer, they indicated that the financing can be obtained. They feel comfortable with the new timeline, the June 30th, 2028 deadline. So with that, staff does recommend approval of the Fifth Amendment. Happy to address any questions.
Okay. Any discussion on this agenda? This one is okay. Yeah. No discussion? Then thank you. Okay. Move to agenda item 3.1.
Approve a professional services agreement to the Instigio LLC doing business as Instigo Agency of St. Petersburg, Florida for sponsorship sales services for the city of Clearwater.
Thank you, Rose. Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Chris Cook, Parks and Recreation Senior Manager. This item before you is to approve a professional services agreement with Instigo LLC, doing business as Instigo Agency out of St. Pete, to provide services for sponsorship sales for Clearwater assets. The agreement is the amount of $5,000 per month as a retainage fee, plus an additional 12% of gross sales from any sponsorships that are negotiated by and secured by Instigo. The initial term is for 1 year with 4 one-year renewable options pursuant to RFP 54-25. This would authorize us to execute the agreement. Background is in an effort to increase revenue for the city of Clearwater, and specifically parks and recreation programs, facilities, and events. That we issued RFP 54-25 for the sponsorship and naming rights services on August 5th. September 9th, we received 3 responsive proposals. The evaluation team consisted of members from finance, from arts and cultural affairs, and parks and recreation. We reviewed and ranked all the proposals and unanimously agreed to award Instigo Agency for these services. That notice was issued on October 2nd. Since that time, we've been working with Samson, who's here with me today, to develop this agreement that you see, which includes prospect identification, asset identification, for things ranging such as sponsorships, naming rights, presenting and official sponsorships, hospitality, and other related and approved city assets. Included in this agreement are benchmarks that Instigo and the city has agreed to, which will allow us to track and measure success as we go. Instigo and city staff, we've already been working collaboratively in preparation for this agreement. We've provided a lot of information already that we've had and a lot of existing assets that have been identified to give us a head start if this agreement's approved. Earlier today, I had mentioned about Placer AI, so I won't go back into all of that, but this will be a huge tool that will aid in getting accurate data for our sponsorship partner. Identifying demographics, visitor origins, visitation patterns are all great valuable assets we'll be able to get out of this. A first quarter budget amendment is going to establish M2602, which will account for any revenues and expenses associated with this contract, so we can be tracking it as we go. Staff believes that this agreement will help us to grow in sponsorship revenue, increase accountability, and leverage these new data analytics tools to support our programs and events. Mr. Samsononi, the founder of Instigo, is here for any questions related to his firm or the agreement, and anything else that I could answer, I'd be happy to do so. Thank you.
Okay, questions from the council? Councilmember Cotton?
No questions, more so a comment. Thank you, Chris, from Parks and Rec, and thank you to whoever was from Finance and Arts and Cultural Affairs on this board. Thank you, Sampson, for coming through and working with our team. I think that this is going to be one of those unique out-of-the-box ways where government starts to see how to generate revenue sources outside of just taxation. So thank you very much. I look forward to what you guys can provide and the data that comes with it. So thank you.
So I have a question on, for those of you who don't think we read the documents attached to the agenda item, I'm sure you hear that we do. The contract, you're getting paid a monthly fee, which, $5,000 a month for 12 months works out to be $60,000. But that, there's no guarantee of collecting anything. But I did see an exhibit, I guess it's Exhibit A. There's a, you're giving us progress reports, but then there's in Roman numeral 5B, it says Instago agrees to outlining benchmarks for success, $45,000 by 9-month mark from contract extension in the first year of the contract. So that's what you think, that's the minimum you think we would be getting, or there's no guarantee, but that's where we're going to kind of see if the monthly fee, you're able to generate things or not?
I'll answer first, because that was something we, as the city, decided we wanted to put in there and add in there, just to have some sort of metric to success. We understand it's going to take time to build partnerships, and we're looking at multi-year partners that will be with us for a long time. And while that does take time, we did want to have some semblance that we're going to be able to recoup the investment that we're putting into it. So benchmarks, not guarantees, but that will help us when we're looking at retaining for years 2, 3, 4, 5, which hopefully is an easy discussion, but having an agreed upon, he was gracious enough to agree for us to add that in there, but that came from us and not from Samson.
And I think I saw, I don't know if it was your website or some, the response that you've worked with professional sports teams and different organizations in the past that you might share with us who you've worked with.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we've worked with the likes of the Cleveland Cavaliers, who are in the NBA, more regionally, because we are focused on our regional approach, mostly within Central Florida. So we've also worked with Orlando City Soccer. So we have a lot of experience from a professional standpoint, professional sports team standpoint. In terms of municipalities, we've also worked with the city of Spearfish over in South Dakota. So we have a combination of the high standard of experience within in terms of setting industry standards within the sports world. That's where those standards get set. So we have that experience, but also local experience as well. So we're able to kind of combine that and hopefully bring some success to the city of Clearwater as well.
Okay, anything else? Vice Mayor?
Yes, so you identified 3 locations for naming rights, which is Cochin Park Plaza, the Splash Garden, or the Splash Pad and the garden. Is it just limited to those 3, or are you looking at other locations, or, my apologies. You named 3 spots in Coachman Park for naming rights. Are there any other locations that you're looking at, that you're considering?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been working with Chris over the past several weeks now just to identify some locations that would be of interest. We've already taken a site visit as well, and we've looked at some of the recreation centers as well. We've also taken a trip to Pier 60, and obviously there's a lot of assets within the beach area as well. Once I complete the initial site visit report, we'll be able to identify various other sites as well that we'll be looking at. Those are just the main naming rights opportunities that we'll have. One of our approaches will be to also identify ways that we can create packages to allow local businesses to get involved as well. So, things like naming rights is a little too big for them. Mm-hmm. So we'll be looking at some smaller assets as well. We obviously don't want to plaster the city with billboards or ads, that sort of stuff. So we're looking at creative activations that we can allow local businesses to get involved as well.
A good example would be like the much-needed sunshade in Coachman Park as an option, let's say, for businesses versus naming rights.
Exactly. And we want to look at stuff like that. We don't just want to partner with brand X, just to put up a brand. We want a story to be involved in terms of how they can add value to the local residents and the tourists in the city. So something like that would be great, so that the residents and the tourists can see that there's brands looking to get involved and improve the value of their experience as well.
But it's broader than just assets, right? I mean, it's events, really anything we can get sponsorship for. Yeah.
And for the record, Vice Mayor, I know you all know this, but the contracts would be the City of Clearwater contracts. So you would not be surprised by anything. You would see any contracts, especially when it comes to naming rights. There's ways we have to go about notifications before we would name something. So you all wouldn't be surprised by anything when it gets to the point of a contract. But we want to be creative, as Councilmember Cotton said. We want to be creative and look at things that maybe we haven't looked at before, and bringing in fresh eyes will allow us to do that.
Okay, anything else? Do we have consent?
Yes.
We have consent on agenda item 3.1. Thank you. Agenda item 3.2.
Authorize an increase and extension to the purchase order with Century Event Services for citywide services and event services.
Good afternoon, Mayor and council members. Art Tater, Parks and Recreation Director. Century Event Services, they currently provide the services or security services that we have at the Municipal Services Building, the City Hall, for the library, City Council meetings. Also, they patrol some of our garages and athletic and special event activities. Their contract with the city actually expires this month, and staff is recommending an extension of this contract for up to 120 days and an additional $86,000. The need for this extension is that the city issued a RFP 0126 for new security services. Because this one ends, we went out for another RFP and received 17 proposals. And you can imagine that many proposals that we had in, it took a little additional time for the committees to go through that, to be able to develop a contract. They hope to bring something back. I just heard today, it's probably in March with that new contract. But in the meantime, we're asking you to approve this additional extension and the money to cover several large events which we have coming up, which are the softball tournaments at the EC Moore Complex, as well as the Sea Blues that comes up in February. With that, I'm available to answer any questions you may have.
Yeah. Councilmember Cotton?
Yes, sir, thank you. Mr. Cater, I did see in the legislative text that, as you just alluded to, a 120-day extension for the $86,000, or if we find another provider first and vote to have that one take over. Does that mean of that $86,000, because it's a not to exceed, I believe, right? Would
Yes.
be refunded back to, perfect. Thank you, sir.
Absolutely.
Any other questions, comments? Okay. If not, do we have consent?
Yep.
We have consent on 3.2. Thank you, Mr. Cater. Agenda item 4.1.
Award a construction contract to TLC Diversified for the lift station point repairs and improvements.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Council. Mike Flynn, Interim Director, Public Utilities. The item before you is for a lift station. It's a award and maintenance contract for the lift stations. So with this, what we'd be looking to do is general structural repairs, VFDs, control panels, pump maintenance, all those different types of activities would be awarded to TLC Diversified in the amount of $5 million annually for the initial term, plus the potential for 3 years, 3 extensions of 1 year each. This is aligned with high-performing government, specifically with asset longevity and risk management. And I'm hoping to answer any questions you may have.
Okay. Any questions, comments on this agenda? If not, do we have consent? We have consent on this agenda. Thank you. Agenda item 4.2.
Approve a work order with McKim & Creed for design and construction phase services associated with Coachman Station disinfection system update.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. My name is Fred Hamrick. I'm Public Utilities Manager, Water Production and Lab. So we are asking for your approval of a work order to McKim & Creed for design construction phases associated with Coachman Station disinfection update in a not-to-exceed amount of $243,454. Essentially, what we're doing is that we have a work order that's going to include project management, data collection, site evaluation, and limited construction oversight to rehabilitate Coachman Station, which is right at the northeast corner of Coachman Park. So all the water of the beach flows through that station, and it has a chlorine system in it, but it was put in 1990. It was never updated or started. We're finding that now we have a need for that system, and we'd like to get it updated. So I'm here to answer any questions you may have and ask for your approval.
Any questions, Councilmember Cotton?
I do, Fred, thank you for the information there. Just want to make sure I'm understanding this correctly. The part of this is going to be also providing low levels of chlorine, and I assume that's to what? Make sure that bacteria, algae, that type of stuff isn't growing inside the water distribution pipes?
Yeah, so we chlorinate water at the water treatment plants, and then it's traveling down through the city, making its way out to the beach. It takes a long time to get there, and a lot of times we find that seasonally, especially in the hot months, we have a very low chlorine residual in the north end of the beach. Doesn't mean the water is unsafe up there, but we have to flush a lot of water up there to bring the level up and maintain that minimum chlorine residual. The hope is that this will help us reduce water flushing.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
Councilmember Albritton?
And I'm familiar with the water line on Clearwater Beach. That's not a loop, it's just a line that goes and stops. So that has to be flushed out on a regular basis just to keep things flowing up there. And do they have any plans about making that a loop and coming back to keep water flowing in that all the time?
Well, that could be very challenging, but there are discussions. We're always looking at stuff in public utilities of that nature. I know in other parts of the city, we're looking at maybe making a loop in other high flush areas, but it's all really initial stuff. We haven't engaged with anybody yet. It would be very hard to, without drilling a very long, expensive pipeline, to loop that back.
I got you. And when you have an end point like that, and it doesn't go any, same thing with Island Estates, they have an end, and they're always blowing water off at the end of that one too. So.
You're correct. The ends of the fingers, like Harbor Island, Midway, those, we do have flush points there. We don't have to flush as much at those. Just the north end of the beach, there's a combination of factors. One is it's a long way. Number two, it's more than one pipeline. It's a whole grid of pipelines up there. So the water goes up there. And then also, kind of after the hurricanes, I think we have some lower occupancy up there too. People are just not using
the water like, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else? Do we have consent?
Yeah.
We have consent on agenda item 4.2. Agenda item 4.3.
Award construction contracts to TLC Diversified, Murphy Pipeline Contractors, and Applied Drilling Engineering for the water reclaimed water and well repair improvements.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Council. Mike Flanagan, Interim Director of Public Utilities. So this is awarding a maintenance contract to multiple vendors. One vendor, TLC, for point repairs, asphalt and concrete. Murphy for trenchless pipe installation, and Applied for well and pump maintenance and acidification of wells. The amount is $9 million annually, and we'd be looking for 3 one-year renewals associated with that as well. It's aligned with high-performing government, particularly regarding asset longevity and also with cost efficiency. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions on this agenda? Councilmember Menino.
Thank you, Mayor. I believe, just for clarification, as in the last 2 agenda items before it, revenues from this are from the water and sewer utility?
Absolutely.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you. And the previous 2 before this were from the same utility enterprise
Yes.
fund?
And the next one will be as well.
Thank you for clarification.
They can be found in the attachment.
I would guess we may get some questions about this one.
Yeah.
And this is, we're not growing, or we're just maintaining what we already have.
Yes, we are. So the intention of this one here is really what we're trying to do is just make sure that our infrastructure is solid going into the future.
Okay. All right. Do we have consent? We have consent on 4.3.
Thank you.
All right. Agenda item 4.4.
Authorize a purchase order to Ferguson Waterworks for the procurement of Neptune water meter original equipment manufacturer replacement parts.
Afternoon, Mayor, Council, Michael Vaca, Public Utilities Infrastructure Division Manager. Before you is the request of the purchase of O&M parts. These parts are critical assets to our combination water and meter backflows. This allows us to continue to replace and repair rather than purchase new, which provides the city good cost savings. With that, I'm happy to respond to any questions you may have.
Okay. Any questions on this agenda? Okay. If none, do we have consent?
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Agenda item 5.1.
Approve the standard grant agreement between the State of Florida Department of Environmental Protection and the City of Clearwater for the design and construction of 6 stormwater pump stations.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Rich Gardner, Engineer of Public Works. The item before you today is for a standard grant agreement between the Florida Department of Environmental Protection and the city. The agreement provides for a $3 million appropriation for the North Beach Stormwater Improvement Project. The North Beach Stormwater Improvement Project is a multi-phase effort to improve performance of the stormwater infrastructure, reduce tidal flooding, and reduce disruption events in the North Beach neighborhood of Clearwater. The state of Florida legislature appropriated $3 million to the city of Clearwater to cover a portion of the cost for the design and construction of approximately 6 stormwater pump stations and associated conveyance improvements on North Beach. This project supports several of the city's strategic priorities, including maintaining public infrastructure and fostering safe and healthy communities in Clearwater. I'm asking you to approve the agreement and authorize the city manager to execute the same. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions on this agenda? Okay. For the public, we're simply accepting $3 million worth of grant money. And this is the agreement to do so. Thank you. Do we have consent?
Yes. Sure.
You have consent on 5.1. Thank you. Agenda item 5.2.
Approve a roadway transfer agreement with the town of Bel Air.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. I'm Anna Hull, I'm Transportation Division Manager for Public Works. The City of Clearwater owns a portion of Watkins Road west of Bay Avenue. This portion of Watkins Road is a dead-end cul-de-sac where City of Clearwater city limit and Town of Bel Air limits meet, and residents are required to go through Bel Air city limits and roadways for access. It has been determined to be in the best interest of both municipalities to enter into this agreement to transfer title to the road from the City of Clearwater to the Town of Bel Air. The City of Clearwater will retain ownership of the water main located along the north side of the road with the ability to access and maintain the line through a right-of-way easement. As a part of this transfer, the City of Clearwater milled and resurfaced the subject section of Watkins Road with the cost shared jointly between both municipalities. The city has received payment from the Town of Bel Air for Bel Air's portion. Any questions?
Okay. Any questions on this agenda? Okay. You good?
Yeah.
No, okay. Sorry, looking at
Just,
I did the
just-
same thing today. I was trying
Yeah.
to figure out exactly where it was at on the map. So
Right.
just want to make sure you're good with it. Okay, do we have consent? Okay, we have consent on 5.2. Thank you. Agenda item 6.1.
Approve a purchase order Routeware, Inc. for solid waste and recycling service verification.
Good afternoon, Mayor, council members. Kevin St. Amy, Solid Waste Director. Council members, Solid Waste Recycling Team is requesting approval for implementation of Routeware Smart City technology platform to modernize our collections operation. The Smart City system integrates onboard cameras and driver tablets for real-time back office portals, providing enhanced oversight, service verification, and more efficient response to customer service issues. Key system features include turn-by-turn navigations and digital pre- and post documentation, breadcrumb trails tracking, and 360 cameras view. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Any questions on this agenda? If not, do we have consent?
Yes.
We have consent on 6.1.
Thank you.
Agenda item 7.1.
Appoint Shantella Davis to North Greenwood Community Redevelopment Area Citizens Advisory Committee as a nonprofit representative for a term expiring February 5th, 2028. Council members, Ms. Davis is the only applicant we have on file who meets that specific qualification, which requires this individual to either live or provide services in the North Greenwood area.
Okay, well, I know Ms. Davis. She runs a nonprofit called A Mother's Arms, which does great work helping, not all, but mainly single moms that really are in a bad spot. And she's been very active in that neighborhood and is increasing her presence in the community and her impact in the community by growing her nonprofit. So I think she would be great on this advisory board. So if you, so with that, do we have consent to add her to, well?
Yes.
I guess is this consent?
It is, I just wasn't sure if
Okay, yes. We have
I
consent.
agree. Yep.
Okay. All right, then agenda item 8.1.
Mayor, 8.1 is my agenda item. So this is the interim city agreement for Mr. Kohler to begin serving as interim city attorney effective February 10th. I'd like to go through it in a little bit of detail because I want to ensure the council is comfortable with the way that I've drafted it. I did put quite a bit of thought into this because we have to account for several possible scenarios since we don't know exactly how it will play out. In addition to that, I was mindful of the fact that Owen will not be able to give the city legal advice regarding his own contract, so I wanted to solve as many issues as I could up front, hopefully to prevent the city from having issues that could come up along this process. So with that, I have drafted it as such that he is by default going to serve as interim city attorney through August 7th or until a permanent city attorney is appointed, whichever occurs first. And that's a pretty straightforward scenario, I believe. But I also wanted to account for several what-if scenarios because a lot of things could happen along the way. So I'm just going to run through them with you, and if council members have questions or if you'd like to make any changes, then let me know and we'll make changes to the agreement. I do want to say that Owen has seen this draft of it, that he's comfortable with it as drafted today. So some of the scenarios to run through, and this is in no particular order, actually, arguably in a little bit of particular order, and only in the sense that I wanted to go from simpler scenarios to more complicated ones. So one scenario is where Owen himself decides to apply for city attorney and he gets appointed as city attorney. Now, he is not committed one way or the other as to whether he'd apply, and the council has made it clear there's going to be a search regardless. But if he were to apply and if he were selected, I had to account for that in the agreement itself. So the way that I have drafted it is such that if he is appointed as permanent city attorney, then all of this goes away. Essentially, this agreement that's in front of you immediately expires, it'll get superseded. It's like it never happened going forward. That's a pretty simple scenario. Some other scenarios that I tried to take into account here. What if a different permanent city attorney is appointed prior to August 8th? Well, as I said, his agreement is written so that it expires either on August 8th or upon appointment of a permanent city attorney, whichever occurs first. So if you find a permanent city attorney who is not him, either because he has not applied or because he was not selected, then this will automatically expire upon the appointment of a new city attorney. So let's say it happens in June 2nd or whatever that date is. Does that make sense? So that's a second scenario. When that occurs, or if it occurs, the way it is drafted is such that Owen will resume his role as lead assistant city attorney once you make that appointment, whoever that is going to be. The third scenario I wanted to take into account is, and this is very unlikely, but what if for whatever reason Owen were to resign from city employment altogether or was not employed during that time? We all go through life circumstances. Obviously, I know that better than anybody else. That can affect what decisions we make in our career. So the answer to that question is that if he were to resign for whatever reason from city employment prior to August 8th, then this agreement is still controlled by his original employment agreement. In other words, his original employment agreement, which was drafted in 2018, says that he must give at least 30 days notice. So let's say, for example, he encounters life circumstances and decides that in May that he no longer wants to be employed. Again, I think this is very unlikely, but I wanted to prepare for all possible scenarios. He would still have to give 30 days notice to the city. And that way you're not left immediately without without someone sitting in the chair. So the idea is to account for different possibilities. Another scenario that I wanted to account for is, what if the council, for whatever reason, decides to appoint a different interim city attorney in the months ahead? That could happen, for example, if Owen, because of his own life circumstances, decides that he can still work and still wants to work in his role as lead assistant, but does not want to continue serving as interim city attorney. As an example, again, I don't think that's likely, but I wanted to prepare for as many scenarios as possible. So in that scenario, the council does have the ability at any time, for any reason and for any cause or no cause, to appoint a different interim city attorney at any point in this process. So while this is drafted as a commitment from him to serve through August 8th, nevertheless, council still preserves your freedom to, at any point in time, for any reason, either at his request or not at his request, to appoint a different interim city attorney. That is always the council's power, and I do think it's important for the council to preserve that ability, whether requested by him or not. If that were to happen, if council were to appoint a different interim city attorney somewhere along the way in this process, then he would automatically resume his role as lead assistant city attorney. So in other words, he would still be with the city, would still be working, but that preserves your ability, if you so chose, for whatever reason, either at his request or otherwise, to appoint a different interim city attorney along the way. Two other scenarios I had to account for here, or wanted to account for. One of them is, what if Owen is serving as interim city attorney as of August 8th, but your permanent city attorney has either not been selected yet or has just not taken the seat yet? If you're hiring from someone out of town, for example, they may need to give notice to their current employer. They may be moving to Clearwater. You may have some lead time that happens in there. So what happens if Owen is still serving on August 8th and the council needs him to continue serving in that interim capacity? For what it's worth, at least as it stands today, and based on his life circumstances today, Owen has told me that he is willing to serve as long as the council needs him to in the interim capacity. Assuming that that continues to be the case, and if council is comfortable with it, the council will have the ability to extend his appointment beyond August 8th to serve as interim. So for example, let's say you make a selection of your city attorney on, I don't know, July 22nd, as an example. But now your city attorney needs to give notice to their current employer, they need to move to Clearwater, they need to do all these things. You're going to have lag time in there, just like there was when I was hired. And so the agreement is written such that you can extend his time as interim city attorney if you decide to do so. And again, at least as it stands today, he has indicated that he is willing to serve as long as the council needs him to and would like him to. And then the final scenario I wanted to account for is, what if none of these things happen? And what if, for whatever reason, no action is taken by August 8th? Council has not reached consensus on a new city attorney has not been appointed, but Owen is still here. What happens then in those circumstances? If that happens, y'all need to do something, because if that happens, Owen's agreement will expire on August 8th, and you will have a vacancy in the office of city attorney as of August 9th. So if you've truly taken no action at all, then please be prepared either to appoint an interim city attorney as of August 9th or extend his time as interim city attorney if he is willing and if you are amenable, or otherwise you will have a vacancy in the office. That's kind of the gist of it. Happy to elaborate on any of those. I know that's a lot to run through, but it's a short document, but I really tried to put a lot of thought into the different scenarios so that the city is not scrambling later in the middle of all this, especially since you won't have someone you can easily consult with on the legal side to navigate those issues. So if council does have any questions, or if you'd like to make any changes, please don't hesitate to say so, and we can do that now.
Okay.
That's good.
Anybody got any comments, questions?
That's
No?
good.
Okay. Okay, I think we're good.
Sounds good. So you'll see that the document that's attached to the agenda is labeled as a draft. We'll go ahead and replace that with a permanent version for Thursday night. If for some reason there's any changes that need to be made, we can still make them on Thursday, but I am going to ask the clerk to swap it out for the permanent version on Thursday, because this one currently is watermarked as a draft, because I didn't know if council members would have questions, changes, et cetera. So, good?
Okay, we placed on consent?
Yes. That's all I have on that item.
Okay. Move to agenda item 8.2.
8.2 is also my item. So this is the item that was discussed previously in regard to the restoration of public comment as to non-agenda items. I think this one is going to be relatively straightforward. In the agenda item itself, there were a few key features that I picked up on from the last council discussion, and there was a lot of really good discussion among council members as to what this should look like. So I want to call attention to how I have drafted this, and then if council members have questions or if you want to make changes, this is the time to do that. But a few things I want to call attention to here. So one of them is that the time period for citizens to comment on non-agenda items is listed as 30 minutes or 10 speakers, whichever is greater. And that's to account for the fact that sometimes people don't talk very long. Sometimes they talk for 15 seconds or 25 seconds, et cetera. So I drafted it as 30 minutes or 10 speakers, whichever is greater. It's also designed to account for a situation where someone could be in the middle of their speech, and if they were to run out of time in the 30 minutes, you could have someone who gets up at 29 minutes and 15 seconds, and now they have only 45 seconds to speak. So I tried to draft to accommodate those things. Again, it's drafted as 30 minutes or 10 speakers, whichever is longer. I don't want to speak for the clerk, but I have reviewed it with her. I think she's comfortable with the way that I've drafted it overall. Okay. So that's kind of one aspect of it. A couple other aspects that I want to call attention to. So as drafted, there is no time sharing between individual speakers or groups. I know that was something that was discussed. I want to emphasize that that will be a different rule than the rule that applies to agenda items. As it relates to agenda items, people are allowed to time share and have groups. And candidly, I don't think we could change that even if we wanted to, because I think as it relates to agenda items, I think there is a statutory right for groups to come up and do that. But as to non-agenda items, the council has way more freedom in deciding how to customize this. So as drafted, there's going to be no time sharing allowed. The third thing I want to call attention to was the timing of this. I know there was a lot of discussion among council as to whether this should be at the beginning of the meeting, whether it's best at the end of the meeting. It was very interesting to hear council discussion. Candidly, there's different feedback from staff as well. I mean, so these are things that can be changed at will, I would say. But as currently drafted, I put it closer to the end of the meeting. And I think that was the general consensus that emerged. I did take a little bit of editorial liberty here in the sense that I put it after most of the voting items, or after all the voting items, but I put it prior to city manager and city attorney comments. And I did it that way because sometimes a citizen might raise a question or an issue that either the city attorney or city manager may want to either comment on, respond to, offer insight into. Sometimes it's as simple as just saying, we'll get back to you on that. But I did put it just before city manager and city attorney comments so that there would be some window of time to do that. We don't have to put it there. We could put it later, we could put it before, but that is currently how I've drafted it. And then the final thing to call attention to here is that this protocol, whatever the protocol is going to be, will remain in effect for only 3 months. So that is the current way that I have drafted it. This this resolution will go through the May 7th meeting. After that meeting, it will automatically expire. So in other words, this portion of the meeting will go away after the May 7th meeting. That will be the last meeting on which it occurs. If anyone wants to modify that, extend it, change it, whatever, council members, you will have to put that on the agenda, otherwise it will go away. All of this, I think, has been discussed with the clerk, and again, don't want to speak for her, but I think she's comfortable with the way that we have set this up. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Councilmember Menino?
Thank you for that. My only question was, did we formalize the process for signups? Are we setting a certain time, 15 minutes before? Are we establishing a certain location? I do see situations that may arise where there's going to be more than 10 people that want to speak. I would assume that, and it's happened many times here before. So have we formalized that into this process?
I have not drafted anything for that. I think I can, but I think the easiest way to deal with that administratively, subject to the clerk saying otherwise, is probably just to have a sign-up sheet, and it's going to be your first, basically just go in order of the sign-up sheet, I think is probably the easiest way.
I agree, that would be the easiest way, is that have a sign-up sheet at the front as the entrance, but they would still have to submit their completed card. And I think that's what the ordinance does require, or the resolution does require, is for individuals, if they want to speak, to submit the completed card. Otherwise, we will move to the next person on the list.
Is that what the county does? Doesn't the county have some type of sign-up?
They do have, I believe, an electronic sign-up, but I don't know if if it's something on their website or if they're actually using the Granicus platform to sign up, which we have available as well.
I think it's good that we have some type of, rather than having a argument with somebody who got here first, or, I guess you could have people jostling in line to try to get ahead of one another to try to beat the time limit if we had a lot. So I think some type of sign-up sheet and just go by whoever's 1, 2, 3, 4, on there. It is going to, I guess, someone will have to monitor the sign-up sheet.
Security.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. But I like that idea of just having them sign up.
Question that just comes to mind is when it would be released. You know what I mean? So like, how far in advance can they sign up? So just things to consider if we're doing.
I think it's here.
question.
I think it's here. You got to be here. I think it's.
So it's the day of.
Yeah. It's,
So,
Before the meeting?
in my mind's eye, yeah, if you have something to say, you're gonna get here, you'll probably be here before the door opens, security sits there with a clipboard. Do you plan on speaking today, or please put a sign there that says, please let security know whether or not you'd like to sign up for public comment? He'll take your name, first 10 slots, done. As they keep through, other people might ask, sorry, we're full for today, please come back next week, we enjoy it, welcome you to, we'll sit for the rest of the meeting, something like that.
I think it's important that we have some sort of consistency. If it's 15 minutes before the meeting or 10, we can't have, somebody came 12 minutes before the meeting and there wasn't a sign-up sheet there, but the previous meeting, they came an hour before and they were able to sign up. I think if we're going to formalize it, let's pick whether it's 15, 20 minutes before, where that location is, somebody's with it, so we have the same consistency going forward each and every time, or we might have some pushback on that.
So again, to that, I would say just mind's eye, it's whatever time security opens the doors, right? When they start wanding people or making them go through the metal detector, I don't know if that's a consistent time that we always do that, but that's where I thought. So the doorman who's monitoring people coming in can take that information, first 10 to sign up. I would think that if there's 10 people that want to say something, they're going to get here early, right? If I wanted to say something, no meeting starts at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, I'd probably be here around 5:30 at the earliest. If I see that wasn't early enough, next meeting I'm coming at 5 o'clock. I'm going to make sure that I get my time in front of council.
I think the clerk has
So Chambers is open 30 minutes prior to the meeting, so
Perfect.
it'll be available then.
Thank you.
And then I did have one question, though. I'm not sure about limiting it, the sign-up sheet to 10, because somebody could sign up, then decide they didn't want to stay, and now you've only got 8 who are there. I mean, I think I would leave it open-ended, sign up, but just know maybe there's something on the sheet says, the first 10 are, by rule, that are here at the time we call for public comment will be the ones addressed.
And then like an alternate?
Yeah, yeah.
That could be something that you even announce before we go into it,
Yeah.
wherever it's set in the meeting.
But I think I'd let more than 10 sign up.
For sure, I agree.
Okay. That's
If we're
more-
limiting it to 10 people, we should have that. I don't see it in here anywhere where it says maximum of 10 people.
On, I believe.
Or the first 10 people can be scheduled to speak.
Yeah.
And like you said, they may not, they may not use 3 minutes apiece, but, you know, at least you won't have people say, I'm only going to talk 10 seconds, and, you know, there'll be a 30 people line there.
Well, that's exactly why I brought it up for discussion. So on the final page, which I guess is page 4 of the resolution, and again, this is just draft, but.
Oh, okay, yeah, I see.
So the way I've drafted it is 30 minutes or 10 speakers, whichever is greater. And to the mayor's point, that also is why you wouldn't necessarily cap it at 10 speakers, because you could have, 17 people or 16 people, because some people don't use their full 3 minutes. So I think it's kind of designed to accommodate either of those scenarios. I was also mindful of the fact that if there's no time sharing among groups, then potentially that number of speakers becomes more important, because a lot of people may not be inclined to speak for 3 minutes, but they would normally yield to a group speaker, and
Okay.
that will not be the case,
Yeah.
given how we're setting it up. So if you're not going to allow group speakers, then it becomes a little bit more sensitive to how many speakers you're allowing. So again, as drafted, it's 30 minutes or 10 speakers, whichever is greater, but that is subject completely right now to council's discretion. So that's why I'm bringing it up. Council can always tell us, draft it differently.
Got it.
Councilmember Cotton?
So I do have another thing that I'd like to bring up that the city attorney briefly mentioned, and that is I did have a few staff members reach out to me in regards to the timing. And those people did indicate that they believe that having it earlier in the meeting may be more beneficial. Therefore, if you do have people that get what they have to say, they get it out right in the beginning, and then they're able to leave, instead of them sitting around for the entire meeting and maybe getting agitated that they haven't had their time to speak yet, or whatever happens. At least they've had their 3 minutes and then can move on or stay for the rest of the agenda items. So I would petition to have G on page 2 moved up around, whichever fits better. Madam Clerk, before the previous minutes or just after?
After the minutes.
After the minutes. That's what I would propose.
What?
Again, it came from security perspective.
Well, only about the people who come for an agenda item. This is a business meeting. Those agenda items, the things on the agenda, should be the priority. So, I don't, no one should have to wait 30 minutes if they came to talk about whatever, and we've seen it. I mean, for various meetings, there's, not every meeting, we've had some meetings that haven't had a controversial issue or some that's really brought people out. But I get it, that could happen. We could have somebody, hopefully those who really caused the biggest stir will see this as an opportunity. We're putting it back on. But I hate to see people who have business before us have to wait at all to get to their concern. They have an immediate interest in something that, and they have, we have single mom, we have folks with families at home that they, 30 minutes might not be a big deal to us, but it's a big deal to them to be able to come in and get out of here and not have to wait even 30 minutes to get to their agenda item. Because you don't always know what's ahead of you, too, on the business agenda. I mean, it could be extending, it's one thing to sit there for an hour and a half and wait an additional 30 minutes, 2 hours to get to your item. On a night that could happen where they're not the first thing on the agenda, so they're down the list. And now they're having to wait an extraordinary time. And we've had meetings where they just can't do it. They have to get up and go. So I just want to make sure that those folks who have an immediate interest, something that this is so important to them that we're voting on it that night, that we're not discouraging them by making them wait behind folks who just want to come in and comment on something that, sometimes, Community Development Board had a national comedian come over and do a 3-minute sketch, you know. I don't want to see a single mom or family member have to wait. They got to get back to their kids, put them to bed for school the next day. I don't want to have to wait even 3 minutes for some of the nonsense we've seen. So that'd be my reason for putting it deeper, so.
Mayor?
Yeah.
So I understand that, and that's why, you know, I was just trying to work with the group. I just wanted you to know that, as the city attorney pointed out, I did have people who know much more about security than I do also give their insight and let me know that it might behoove us to put it in the front. I guess the adverse argument to yours is that those people coming to petition us have a grievance of their own that is of the utmost importance, and they are a constituent and business owner or stakeholder that want to let us know what they have to say. Again, that's why I tried to also be considerate by limiting the time as well, right? So baby steps, instead of an hour, 30 minutes, instead of time sharing 3 minutes a person. Not everybody will use 3 minutes. Some people will try and go over, and we'll have to manage that when it comes. But again, I'm bringing this up. It was brought to my attention. It might be better, more beneficial for the flow of the meeting to bring it forward. So just having that discussion, and that's why I'm proposing it as is to go after the minutes. If it stands and everybody, you know, as Councilmember Menino says quite often, I can count.
I understand what you're saying, in some respect. You know, I mean, considering that, but, you know, like we've talked about before, you know, that person who wants to talk about something not on the agenda, they can reach out to us anytime. They don't have to come to the podium at a council meeting to address it. Those folks that have an agenda, they have to come to that meeting because we're getting ready to vote that night. But these other folks, for something not on the agenda, they don't have to come. They can address us in a gazillion other ways, and many do. So that'd be my only response to that. But I understand what you're saying.
May I just interject real quick? Because maybe this will make it, just keep it where it's at. It expires in 3 months. If we see we've had a problem with it, we can move it then.
Nice, man.
I just wanted to say that I was actually listening to you before I made a vote, so you would have counted it wrong. But I can see the advantages from both sides, because having it at the beginning would have a benefit to security. Have those folks who tend to be the problematic ones get their fill, and then they would be free to leave. That's that advantage. Having it at the end prioritizes those who come here to talk about, you know, items on the agenda. I can see both sides, and I'm open to both sides. I do think that if it goes back where it's challenging, I at least would like to change the time frame and actually put it in the beginning of the meeting. But until that happens, I'm open to either time slot.
I feel strongly about starting it at the end. I mean, we can always adjust it, you know, see how it goes. But I'm trying to recall back what issue it was. But there was one meeting where we were here a long time, and I know quite a few people left that wanted to speak on an agenda item. And because those, I mean, it may be one of those nights, whatever, but I mean, I hate to see people, you know, have an urgent need to come out and speak on an issue and not be able to stay because the meeting, you know, ran long or whatever. So, but we can, I'd prefer to try it at the end and see. We can always see how it goes, and then.
I'm open to that, but interestingly enough, maybe if it becomes an issue, I would like to have the police have a say in it, get their feedback, and ask them how they feel about if we have it, where it should be placed.
Yeah. Well, I can make an argument to the folks who want to put on a show. It's more attractive to them to have it at the front, because now they've got a room full of people. They're in addition to, you know, they're doing it for video and social media. You could also make the argument that they would prefer to have the room full of people when they do their antics, you know, because now they're putting on a show in front of folks. And we've seen some meetings where they've played into that quite a bit, the folks that are here to try to entertain. So I prefer we keep it as it's drafted to start. We can see how it goes.
I got a comment. So this whole thing, this is what I like the most. It says the primary purpose of city council meetings is to conduct an orderly meeting. You got that right in there, so that's good for me because we've seen it get out of order plenty of times, so.
And it focuses us on, the purpose of the meeting is to conduct the business of the meeting, not to take public comment. I mean, we can take public comment, but the purpose of the meeting is to conduct business, and so it makes those business items a priority.
It sounds like there is at least majority support for keeping it closer to the end of the meeting, at least for now. It sounds like that's what I'm hearing from the majority. So for now, unless I've misunderstood that, I'm going to keep that draft in its current form. Keep in mind, it will be back before you Thursday night. It is not going to be on consent because it's a resolution, so you'll have opportunity also to consider it, re-review it, et cetera, but it'll be back on Thursday night.
Okay. Ready to move on? I felt that. Agenda item 8.3.
Mayor, 8.3 through 8.8 are second readings of land use. Happy to answer any questions.
8.3 through, which one was that?
Through
8A?
8.8.
Okay. Any questions on those?
No.
Okay, no? Move to agenda item 9, city manager verbal reports.
Thank you, Mayor. Just wanted to do a reminder that we do have our first strategic plan session next week on Monday, the 9th at Morningside Rec Center. It is open to the public. Public is not able to participate, but really looking forward to having that session. Our staff is prepared for this and looking forward to working with council on that. And also that we will be in Tallahassee next week. So looking forward to that trip as well.
Good. Item 10, city attorney verbal reports.
Mayor, only to say that I think transition planning is going very well. I mean, I'm having constant meetings with my staff as well as others. We are doing as seamless a handoff as possible. We are now having multiple meetings per week to ensure that Owen's aware of everything that's going on. He has been joining me, as you know, during one-on-one meetings with council members, as well as with the manager, as well as executive team meetings. So I think that transition planning is going well. I'm proud of my team for how we're handling it, and so look forward to Thursday. Thank you.
Okay. Right, agenda item 11.1, Councilmember Alderman, this is your resolution, which you circulated here.
Yes. So this came through by email a couple of weeks ago, and I took the liberty of just, they had an attachment on there that was a resolution opposing any new offshore oil and gas leasing in the Gulf, off Florida coast. Now, Florida already has a law, no drilling off the coast, but the new administration is pushing to do more land leases out in the Gulf. And, you know, probably all of us have been here long enough where we remember the devastation that the oil leak, when it was up near Louisiana, I think, caused to us down here. The whole Gulf Coast of Florida, tourism died for 2 years. And, you know, once the Europeans know that we've got oil on the beaches, they go somewhere else. They don't even come here because, and it for 2 years, and maybe even longer, a lot of them didn't come back. So I'm really opposed to any oil drilling, seeing how our biggest, you know, priority is the beaches and tourism. And so I brought this forward as a resolution that just says that Clearwater, you know, joins everybody else in saying, hey, we're opposed to this. And the mayor and I actually had a meeting on Clearwater Beach with the mayor of St. Pete and several other mayors and people about everybody standing together on this and opposing it because, you know, because of our tourism industry. So I think it's important, and I thought I'd just bring it up for discussion on the dais and see what everybody feels, you know, if it's something we want to jump in and do or not, so.
I would be for doing it. It aligns with what you and I talked about the other day. I'd love to see the city and the council get behind it too. I mentioned the other day at the press conference that in Congress, Senator Rick Scott has led this effort to oppose it. He remarkably has pulled together every congressional representative in the entire state of Florida to oppose it. And so we're just aligning ourselves with what our congressional delegation from the state is doing, so I would support it. The only tweak I would make here is where it says a copy of this resolution is sent to Senators Moody, Rick Scott, and Representative Castor and Anna Polina Luna. I think I would just take out Representative
that whole
Castor
thing.
because she doesn't
Yeah.
represent us, but I think the other three are fine. And I know from speaking with them and their staffs directly, they're all on board with opposing this as well, so. Any comments or from the others?
Completely agree. I think that,
Okay.
you know, I mean, besides our economic driver, which is tourism and our beautiful beaches, you know, we also have commercial fishing and a bunch of other different industries that get affected with that, so fully on board.
Okay,
Okay.
so we'll put that on for Thursday night.
Thursday, yeah.
Actually, in speaking with the city attorney, there are some modifications that need to be done with the formatting, so
Okay.
the city attorney will present it for the next meeting.
Okay.
As I said, that I just pulled this was sent to me as a draft. We can rewrite it however, you know, is best for the city of Clearwater, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I'll make sure we coordinate on the handoff of this, so that way we will bring this back to the February 17th work session. I'm not going to make any substantive changes to it other than the one that the mayor just mentioned as it relates to those officials. But otherwise, the substance I plan on keeping the same unless council has any other changes they'd like to make. But we will format it in our usual format, so that
Yes.
way we have resolution number and it has our signature block, et cetera. So we'll have that in the next meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right. For the next one's 11.2, discuss qualifications for new city attorney. Councilman Cotton, thanks for raising this. Just up front, you know, after we engaged the search firm, we all remembered that for them to have one-on-one meetings, which they'll do, is important, but it's probably going to slow it down if we don't first have a discussion on some general things that we would want to see in the advertisement, the job posting, some things. And so I'm going to let you lead here after this, but I know we all have seen the city attorney posting that went out last time. So for me, this was a good place to look at some of these things and see what I thought may fit or not fit. One thing I did see here is that I would like for us to talk about, in addition to what the rest of them are talking about, is at the last time we required that the city attorney reside in Clearwater or become a resident of Clearwater in 12 months period of time. For the city manager, that's required by the city charter. For city attorney, it's not. So rather, I would suggest that rather than require that for the city attorney, we list it as preferred, a preference. I think it's good that, it's definitely good if the city attorney does reside within the city. I think that, you know, living day to day, same lives the five of us do, and what our citizens do, help you understand the issues a little better when you know the streets and you know everything that goes on in the city. But I don't know if living actually within the city limits, I think you could live in a neighboring community, you could live in unincorporated Clearwater and probably have the same experience. But I would just like to see at least that changed, see that the residency be preferred but not required.
Yeah, I agree. That's definitely one of the things I wanted to talk about was that, you know, the city attorney's responsibilities are so different than that of city manager. City manager manages thousands of people. Needs to be ready to address every crisis, whereas an attorney is more of an advisory role. So I also agree with you, a residency is preferred but not required. Definitely something that I think will widen the possibility of getting good candidates.
Okay. Councilmember Cotton.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Let me pull my notes back up. As you already alluded to, were able to find the firm to help us with our next city attorney search. And, you know, we need to look for somebody that's going to have the sound judgment, the ability to advise us, not just in our one-on-ones, but should we have a question on the fly in a work session and or in the heat of debate, right, to assist where necessary. So, you know, when it comes to a role that's so fundamental to protecting our city, going over some of those hard qualifications, not the individual warm and fuzzies, as to quote Councilmember Menino again, when we meet with our one-on-ones with the recruiter, but like, what are we looking for? And I agree to start with what the job requirements, it's a good start. Some other things, you know, is maybe looking for a minimum amount of legal experience, you know, within municipal government or something like that. Some other thing, and what I mean specifically like that is, are they already a city attorney somewhere else or a county attorney? Were they a deputy city attorney or something like that? Because those people we would know have already handled those complex municipal challenges, whether it's public works or law enforcement, all the fun things that we see here. The difference is, and again, I don't need to tell you guys this, we're a very unique city, right? We obviously have world-class beach, major events here when it comes to the sound, Phillies, we have an executive airport, a marina. So trying to make sure that we have somebody that does have some experience, whatever those years are that we set as maybe a minimum collectively. You know, Mayor, you probably have more expertise in the legal area than I would, but I definitely have the discussion. Something.
Well, on that, not trying to interrupt you, but it does, last time we required a minimum of 5 years of experience.
For sure.
Pertaining to public sector, personnel supervision, training, and government law.
Right.
So I don't know, 5 years is, you think that's
I'm good with
enough?
that. I just am going over
Yeah.
like the hard
Okay.
questions to, again, I agree with everything that was
Yeah.
sent out by staff. It was obviously good at what we're looking at. I didn't know if anybody would want to change that to an 8-10 year mark, and that's okay if we don't. I am good with a 5
I
year as
think
well.
5 is fine.
Perfect. Another thing that I think would behoove us, but I'm not trying to limit our pool, is if they're already certified by the Florida Bar, because then they'll be well-versed with, you know, Florida sunshine laws, the public records laws, and ethical frameworks. Again, just throwing it out there, seeing what you guys think. And again, I know that there's specific requirements, even up to things like a driver's license. Like, I understand the document that we got, and it's a great start. It really is. Just some other things to throw out there. Yeah, lastly, you know, I put on here is we need somebody, and maybe this goes into the experience portion of it too, or maybe we can discuss how to articulate it better somehow, that not just has the 5 years experience, but what is that unique experience? Because we deal with some heavy hitters here, right? Duke Energy, the Philadelphia Phillies, the county. We deal with a lot of unique oddities. So, you know, I don't want to get too far into the weeds to where it limits us, and just as we're, I think all agree, I don't know if we all agree, but taking away the has to live within the city platform, I'm not trying to limit our pool, but I don't want to narrow it too much either, you know. I guess these are just some of the hard sets that I thought would be good for discussion. I think we do have a good framework to start building off of and go from there.
So I think what's important is to have not only the qualifications, but the qualifications on managing a department. I mean, you could get an ace attorney, but if he's not good at managing his office, to me, that would be something, would be a positive thing. And I don't know how you'd say that.
Managing legal team.
Well, yeah.
Supervisory.
Yeah, that's in here too, under
yeah.
abilities, so, I mean, yeah. I really feel like the last posting we did was.
Covers
good.
everything, yeah.
It's broad enough. I mean, there's, I thought I saw it, but, Mr. Margolis, you may remember, we had something on board certified, preferred board certified, or did we not last time?
When I was hired?
Mhm.
So I don't know. I might actually defer to the manager on that. I can tell you only my personal experience. It certainly must not have been a hard requirement since I was hired prior to obtaining my board certification. I will say on a personal note, I don't think he'd mind me sharing this because he's said it himself publicly. When I interviewed for the role, Mayor Hibbert had asked if I intended to become board certified. At that point in time, when I was interviewing for the role, I was eligible to sit for the exam. In other words, I had completed all the advanced education and all these things, but I had not yet sat for the exam because they only give it once a year. And so I had the exam coming up. So Mayor Hibbert had asked if I intended to sit for the exam, and if so, would I pass on my first attempt? And I boldly made the promise that I would. Thank God I did. But I was nervous coming out of the exam, I won't lie. But it was not a hard requirement, but I was in fact eligible to sit for the exam at that time. And I just made a personal commitment to him that I would in fact take it and pass, and knock on wood I did. But I don't recall there being anything as a hard requirement. Defer to the manager on that since she was HR director.
To my recollection, because that was a couple years ago now, it was not
It
a
wasn't in
requirement.
the posting, it was just something that came up. All right. Okay. Well, but definitely, I mean, if you require that, it's going to limit the pool quite a bit.
Yeah.
So I think I'm okay with leaving it out and just having it be something we discuss with the recruiter, you know, if that's in one of our preferences, you know, for that, if they have somebody that has that board certification, if that's important to, you know, one of 5 of us, that we share that with the recruiter.
Well, what I would like
Vice
is that the certificate is not required, but preferred, and maybe with the understanding that they can pursue it after hiring. So that's, but I just don't want to narrow the pool by requiring it before being hired.
Yeah, I don't either.
Let's just, I think we just leave it out of the posting. And
I think that would
It's
come with the
something we
recruiter
consider.
as something we say in those
Yeah,
one-on-ones,
yeah, I
like
think
so
we
of
do
a
share.
preferential.
Yeah.
And then in terms of experience, the 5 years is pretty good, but I would again focus on the fact that not only experience in municipal law, but managing a legal team, you know? It would have to be both, 5 years or greater for those two. Everything else I agree.
Are we considering just throwing minor additions to this document and then allowing HR to utilize it?
Well,
Because if that's the case, we need to get rid of the fax machine and copy machine. You know, we need to update that with, you know, more appropriate, you know, computer-based AI web stuff. I hope
I
that
think-
our city attorney in the next one
Yeah,
can
I
use a
think-
fax machine.
I think that
I did, and, you know, not to brag, but I was something of an expert at the fax machine, and I do think it gave me a bit of an edge, we might say.
Do you have the rotary phone and the Rolodex too?
Yeah, you can type.
Good point. That's a valid point, yeah. So you're suggesting,
Maybe just clean it up.
Yeah,
However
under
HR
requirements, you
wants to
wanna
clean
add-
it up a little bit to
Sorry?
some.
you want to add managing a legal office as part of the 5 years and this education experience?
Yes, I agree with just having experience in municipal law is not enough, especially with this city. They need
And
to be able to manage
management.
the legal team.
Okay.
Some experience to prove that they can. So the 5 years would have to include management.
In a
For me.
management role,
Okay,
possibly, yeah, something like that.
I think that's fair.
And to the vice mayor's point, I mean, the previous iteration of this, meaning the one when I was hired, says, among other things, that there must be, I'm quoting from it, that there must be at least 5 years of municipal experience and supervisory experience over attorneys and other legal positions. So I do believe the current version, or previous version, I should say, was drafted with that in mind. And so council has the opportunity either to use that same language or to change it to whatever you'd like it to say.
Okay. Okay. Do you have anything else, Councilmember Cotton?
No, this was just to get us on the same page, maybe get some hard facts out there so that, because it all comes down to direction, right? What the city manager and Tiffany, as the point, need to know from us and how to draft the paperwork going forward.
Yeah.
So that's why, as you alluded to, we set the meeting to find the firm, and then afterwards, we're like, well, dang, we didn't go over qualifications.
Yeah.
So that was the intent of this portion here. If we feel like we got that core set of hard factors that we need, and Tiffany feels comfortable, doesn't have any other questions of anything, then I'm good with it.
Councilmember Mayo, you have anything?
No, thank you, Mayor. Just to kind of run through what we talked about, I'm comfortable with where the rest of the board is on residency requirement. I'm comfortable on removing board certification. Sometimes you find if you put it on there and even say preferred, you get people that might not even fill out an application or go because they think we're going to automatically hire somebody that does and somebody will apply. So I think we're limiting our pool there. So I'm supportive of leaving it off. Experience was a big one. The minimum 8 years that's listed here, I'm fine with that. I did write down some questions on the 5 years. I too, as the vice mayor said, it says public sector. I prefer that they have in-house experience, which gives them somewhat of a supervisory role as well, versus just somebody coming in that has outside counsel experience or they've been involved in training and governmental law. I think especially this role has been said multiple times. There's a lot of challenges and depths in the legal arena that this city presents. So I think that's an opportunity for us to fine tune. I also agree. I circled fax machines and copy machines. I think we could probably update that just a little bit and leave off pagers as well, because I don't think we're going to be paging our city attorney.
Yeah.
Well, if you decide to, I was looking through some memories the other day, and I did actually find my old pager. Among other things, I also found some 5 1/4-inch floppy disks, if anybody needs them. So.
Well, if we get in trouble, we'll 911. You'll need to call us right back. But outside of that, Mayor, I'm comfortable. I do think in the area of the 5 years, as far as experience, I think we can give a little attention to that, because just stating public sector, personal supervision, training, and governmental law, I think that's where we can kind of raise the bar a little bit for the next one, and whether we put in-house counsel, supervisory roles, something like that, that lends a little more credence than just the training or knowledge of government law.
Okay. So, so specifically, you're good with the 5 years, or you want to go?
I'm good with 5 years. I just think the words that we follow it with.
Similar to what the vice mayor was sharing on
Exactly.
a broader plan. Okay.
I mean, we should highlight the difference between in-house counsel and outside counsel. I mean, those are, the city attorney could give us too, but just bring in somebody from the outside, that's a total different ball of wax they're dealing with, a different culture, playing nice with others. It's completely different. I think that's an opportunity for us to kind of highlight that role of preference of in-house as well as that supervisory role.
Well, it's different, I can tell you.
Yeah.
Very different. So, you know, anything you want to weigh in on that?
Only comment I have is just coming back to the residency requirement. You know, as the mayor pointed out, there is no requirement in the charter to have Clearwater residency. That was only a feature of my contract because it was something that was asked by the council at the time. If the council is going to articulate that it's preferred, are you envisioning that it'll be preferred that someone is willing to move to the city? Because unless you happen to hire someone who's already living in the city, which is a very, very, very limited pool, how do you want it to be articulated by HR? In other words, would we like it to say a willingness to reside in the city would be a preferred qualification? Do you want to leave it out altogether? Just kind of make those.
Leave it out for me. Leave it out.
I would put in, you know, look, I want somebody in Pensacola to understand if they, you know, probably not going to work if you know, for you to reside and have your residence in Pensacola and be our city attorney. Yeah, but that said, if you lived in unincorporated Clearwater or, you know, somewhere within Pinellas County or really within Tampa Bay, I don't know that that would bother me. That said, it would be best if you lived in the city of Clearwater for the reasons I said. You're traveling the same streets every day as we are. You're around the community, involved in the community, at least living in the community. That's a plus. It's not a disqualifier, I don't think, but it would be a plus if you did. But if you didn't.
So how did you just say it?
It could be if council so choose, it could be a preferred qualification that the successful applicant is willing to reside. Yeah, is willing to reside. You could do that. To be clear, I'm not trying to lead the council one way or the other. There's pros and cons to this. Like I said, you have total freedom to decide how you want to do this. It could be anything from a hard residency requirement, which was my contract. My contract was I had to reside within City of Clearwater within 12 months. But in my personal circumstances, it was very easy for me to agree to that at the time. You definitely could end up ruling out a lot of candidates. I just happened to be in a position where I could easily say yes to that, and where philosophically I was happy to say yes to that. A lot of other candidates may not be. So that's a tough one.
Yeah.
To the mayor's point, you could have things like a hard requirement where someone must live within Pinellas County if you wanted to do that, or if you want to open it up to the Tampa Bay region, chances are they're going to live in the Tampa Bay region anyway. The likelihood of someone commuting outside of the Tri-County area is extremely remote. Again, these are just completely your decision. We can craft it however you want. I just want to make sure that HR has good direction from the council, so that way Tiffany knows how to draft, and I'm happy to help with it, but she's going to have to know how to draft the, you know, the qualifications. Does that make sense? We have to choose our words carefully.
Yeah, Councilmember Cotton.
Yes, sir. I don't want to lose the forest for the trees here. I think that we all already agreed that it narrows our pool if we say any type of preferential location will drive people away. They'll scroll through, maybe even just hot button words, preferred, blah, 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 blah. Oh, that's not going to be me. Maybe gentle wording or articulating it differently, like something to the effect of getting a commitment to be a part of the community in some type of way, shape, or form. So yeah, you can still live regionally, but every now and then, come to an event, show that you still like part of Clearwater, and you know it's just not the 9 to 5. Maybe that's an idea, right? But that wouldn't be a hard commitment. I would try, again, not to limit our pool, but to keep it open so that we can get more applicants, more qualified applicants.
I would say this, I would broaden it maybe to prefer to live within Pinellas County. I mean, we're involved in all kinds of things, working with Pinellas County government and other communities around here that I think maybe, but again, it doesn't disqualify anybody, but maybe saying preferred residence within Pinellas County would be good.
So I completely agree with that, yeah, for sure.
I'd
But
be
it's
okay
not
with
gonna,
that.
yeah.
That's
omit-
better than Clearwater, because that maybe sends a different message.
I would prefer Tampa Bay versus Pinellas County, because you can technically live in Tampa and actually be closer to Clearwater than some locations in St. Pete. So I would rather Tampa Bay rather than Pinellas County, just to keep it open. I think it's more user-friendly. Well, yeah, Tampa Bay versus just Pinellas County.
Again, we're not disqualifying anybody, we're just saying
Right,
it's
but-
preferred. So, because I think it is a plus. In my
It is.
opinion, it's a plus if you live within the county and you're familiar with the communities we work with within the county, because you drive those streets and you work with, wherever you live, you work with the county government. And again, I think it's a plus, and I think we should share that it's a plus that you live within the county.
I mean, I'll just give you some insight from my experience with employees that live outside of the county. You just got to take into certain accounts. If they go to Manatee County, I mean, the bridge closes, you're adding 45 minutes to their travel time, right? So for a normal day, it's those types of intangibles that we'll just never be able to truly understand and set a time limit on. I think if the goal is to have as much of a net to get qualified candidates, that we do just stick with maybe preferred Pinellas County, because that's not saying you can't live in Tampa. You know, you can't go live in West Shore. It's just saying we prefer you to be here. And when they're here, I mean, I know you travel around the city and the county at certain points and times and have meetings around. I think they'll get to know the city too when they're employed here and having those various meetings and going to meet the department heads in certain areas of our city. So I'm still good with the preferred Pinellas County, but again, I don't think that limits them. And you know what? Whoever the applicant is definitely going to be watching this meeting too, so that's where we need to be careful as well, right? We don't want to be like, oh, you have to live by MacDill Air Force Base, you know, like we got to make sure that they understand, we're open arms. We want everybody, make sure you're a qualified candidate, and we'll work with you.
Yeah, and we're not saying it's well, we're just saying for, I think, two of us, it's a plus for you. But not that I'm going to make, I think making them aware in the advertisement what was plus for some of us, not all of us, is fair to them.
Are you giving them a time limit? Are you saying that they have a year, they have 6 months, they have 2 years? What kind of time limit are
They don't have to. They don't even have to move.
Just prefer
So you have no
to be a
problem?
successful candidate.
That's almost one of those things too, to be honest with you, that we could just tell the recruiter during our one-on-ones, right? I mean, unless we want to put it hard within the packet, I'm good either way. I don't, again, it's not disqualifying the candidate just because you're not going to live in the county. It's just, we have a great county. We have a great city.
All right.
Branched out to a great county.
So what we're talking about here is one of the highest paid employees of Clearwater. They're not going to have a problem living in Clearwater. It's not like it's a lower paid employee that, I mean, and I know they have a hard time living in Clearwater, but if you do say Pinellas County, they're going to live, they're going to want to live. It may be an unincorporated Clearwater if they find something, maybe they can't find something, but I think that's fine. Just say preferred Pinellas County, be done with it.
Yeah.
And most likely they'll live in Clearwater.
Well, let me give you a situation. If you have 2 children in school and you work very hard to get them into that school, would you disrupt them just so you can go to incorporated Clearwater if you live on the outskirts of St. Pete? Are we going to say no to that candidate or discourage that candidate? Or someone that just lives east of Tampa Road, technically Hillsborough, but just, you know, and they don't want to take their children out of that school. Or they have a family situation where they don't want to leave the home that they poured their heart into, but it's still 25 minutes away from Clearwater. I don't think we should discourage those candidates. They might be just the perfect one.
But we're saying preferred,
We're
so
saying
it's not.
preferred. No one's discouraging anybody. You can apply, and you may get, I mean, arguably, you could, I use Pensacola, I think that's a stretch, but I mean, you could be some rock star attorney from Pensacola and convince us it's not required. But certainly, for me, it would be important to know that you were going to relocate somewhere close by, preferably in the county. But it's not, to Councilmember Albritton's point, it's not disqualifying anybody. And preferred, but there's no requirement that if you took the job that you would move within a certain period of time. So, good?
Tiffany's the point person, so I'll defer to her. And
Yeah.
He feels like the,
And this is certainly something we could all flesh out further with, this is just about the advertisement. We can flesh out our preferences, whether that's important to us with SGR 101.
Good afternoon, Tiffany Macros, HR Director. I feel like I have a really good handle on what it is, the consensus is here, but I also wanted to just give an update and let you know that the agreement is being circulated for signatures, so once that's fully executed, the lead recruiter, who is Kevin, gosh, I hope I say this correctly, Knudsen. Yes, we'll be in contact. I know that SGR is watching today's work session, and I'm sure taking copious notes as well. What I would ask is that once we have the language tightened up for the brochure, I hear we need some updates to our job description, so we will make those, remove references to technology of the 80s, and get it up to speed, and get that presented for approval.
I apologize. Now I feel bad for myself.
It's baby steps. Thank you.
Anything else on that?
Thank you.
And I guess I guess now, I've got to go home tonight and get rid of my pager. I didn't realize nobody else was still using their pagers anymore.
I use a pager every third day.
Okay. With that, we'll move to item 12, new business. Any new business coming forward? If none, 13, council comments. Anybody has any comments? That will move to closing comments by mayor. I have one. So we get compliments about all of our city departments. Solid Waste came up to me, a citizen came up to me the other day, it's very complimentary of Solid Waste. We get them from all over. We just have a great team in all departments throughout the city. But we got a compliment here just this weekend from Clearwater Marine Aquarium. They had, it's a very high profile organization out on Clearwater Beach, so they get interesting things happen when you have people visit from all over the world and different folks out there that have different, sometimes issues that they want to deal with out there. And our Clearwater Police Department, according to them, did an outstanding job of dealing with the situation over the weekend. So I'd just like to read you a nice note that we got from them. I guess we got it just yesterday. It says it's from the Clearwater Marine Aquarium. It's from Joe Handy, the Clearwater Marine Aquarium CEO. I'd like to extend my sincere appreciation to the officers and the K-9 unit for your swift and highly efficient response on Friday. Your team arrived promptly, assessed the situation with precision, and provided exactly the support the Clearwater Marine Aquarium needed during a challenging time. Your professionalism, calm coordination, and thorough assessment of the situation ensured the aquarium remained safe. Your presence played a critical role in restoring a sense of security for our staff and guests. We are deeply grateful for your dedication to public safety and for partnering with us to ensure the situation was handled with the utmost care. Thank you for the exceptional service you provided to CMA. Your expertise and commitment made a meaningful difference in helping our team feel safe and supported, and your efforts allowed us to reopen in a timely manner. I just want to read that, and I, like I said, all five of us could tell you all wonderful things we hear, but challenging time for law enforcement throughout the country on lots of different issues, and I just can't tell you how much we appreciate our police department here in Clearwater. They step in some of the most difficult circumstances and bring calm to very difficult situations, and clearly did that here in the eyes of our Clearwater Marine Aquarium over the weekend. So thank you to all of them. For Chief Gandy's not here, but certainly a great team we have in our police department, and I do want to share that very kind message from CMA. So with that, with nothing further, we will adjourn the work session of February 2nd, 2026.